The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The season, the 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
In what might be the last day that I could actually wear this with confidence, here we go. It's Browns-Bengals week. It's wrapping up. We're just a couple days away. It's almost here. It's almost here. That Bengals helmet, my OCD is driving me nuts. Could we shape it more in the middle? Just yeah, it's my OCD. There we go. Actually, I like that. There should be something in front. Maybe I have an Icky Woods bobblehead. We'll get that Icky Woods bobblehead put there. It might break after some time, but nonetheless, we welcome you in. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Chatterbox Sports. There we go. There we go. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. ESPN 1410 Wing AM in Dayton. Justin Kenner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, and Jacob Tissett with you here. Appreciate Reed stepping in yesterday. We do a big food drive every year, the weekend before Thanksgiving. Like, we have 50 families that are adopted in the Miami Valley that need help around the holidays. So it's our big holiday help out food drive that we do. So yesterday we were shooting TV commercials to get that ball rolling, to get the promo started for it. But as we were recording, finds out I'm a little too short. So they had to get that embarrassing little box for me to stand on. So when that commercial
there you go.
hits and me and Kev look like we are the same height, we are not the same height.
You shouldn't have said that.
No, it's embarrassing.
Okay.
I just feel like everyone's going to know, so I'm just going to let everyone know now.
That's fair.
In case you didn't know, I am short, and there you go. But the ego took a shot when I had to stand on that box.
Oh.
I had to get a running start, leap onto it. It was actually one of the most athletic things I've ever done.
Oh.
But here we are.
Tom Cruise, Jeff Passan, Justin Kinner. 3 famous people that stand on boxes because they're too short for interviews.
Is Jeff
that's right. He did do that.
Is Jeff Passan really that short?
Oh, yeah. He's been on there was a picture, I don't remember when it was, Winter Meetings maybe, of him standing on a box doing an ESPN special. So, yeah, you're not alone.
Yep, and this chair is pulled all the way
go.
up.
There you go.
Nonetheless. But Casey, how we doing today? I've never seen the Join the Chatter shirt before, but I'm a big fan of that. I like the hoodie today, or the sweatshirt today, I should say.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really like this one. This is in our merch store. For those
We have a merch store.
Yeah, Chatterbox merch store. Yeah.
Did not know that. I will have to buy.
It's big time.
Might talk to the owner and see if I can skip the
might
buying
have to.
part. But well, I'll talk to Trace. Talk to Trace.
Jump the line.
Yep.
They also have a hat in this. I'm just waiting to complete the set. So, yeah. This is my favorite thing we got in the store, though.
There you go.
Rave reviews.
Elliot, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm very good.
Beige on beige?
I am on a beige on beige. Beige, and white shoes and white hat.
I like a beige on beige.
It's
I'm not
it's not
knocking
great.
it. I'm just acknowledging it.
It's not great, but at the end of the day,
It's good.
Who said
Thank
it's
you.
not great?
It's a good fall outfit.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who came last night to Champions. We had a fun night. Chase from the chat drove, I think,
7 hours.
Yeah, 6.5
Yeah,
hours
6.5
to get there. I'm
hours
not
to
even
come.
kidding. Nate and Michael Ackley were there as well. It was a good old time. It was a grand time, and
It was awesome. Yeah, it was fun.
I can't thank everybody enough for coming.
You guys just bashed the Browns for an entire show.
Did you watch any of it?
I caught most. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to the
Know your
Deshaun? Did you get to the Deshaun Watson?
I must have missed that
Yeah.
part. You always speak so highly of him. I'm assuming you were talking about how great of a leader he is, trying to rally the troops.
The minute off the bench ended yesterday, I think Elliot tapped me on the shoulder. He was like, I have a whole page of Deshaun Watson stats ready to go. And then from the hours in between then and when the show started, he mentioned that page of Deshaun Watson stats 10 to 15 times. He was really excited to unload that.
Do you have it
page.
with you? Do you have it with you?
Oh, I assumed they were going to be a part of headlines.
Yeah. Well,
Are they a part of headlines or
No. Well, I hold on. I can get it out.
No, let's break it out because I always love learning about my starting quarterback.
That's right.
And I don't know. I could have this starting quarterback as a fan of the Browns. This could be my starting quarterback for one more week or for the next 2.5 years. I have no clue at this point, and I would like to get to know my quarterback a little bit more. So by all means, educate me and Browns and NFL fans all around.
Okay, so Deshaun Watson, he has a lower EPA per game than Bo Nix, Gardner Minshew, benched, Will Levis, bad, Jacoby Brissett, benched. His success rate is 33%, which, again, bottom of the league behind those 4 exact guys. His QBR for the season is 21.5. There's nobody worse. No quarterback has a worse QBR this season. Jacob has a fun stat about the QBR.
Ooh, let's hear about the QBR.
That is about half of the QBR of if you were to spike the ball every play. 39 QBR if you go 30 consecutive incomplete passes. So Deshaun Watson worse than if you were to just drop back and throw it into the ground.
If you just showed up and you just threw it in the dirt, you have 20-point higher QBR than Deshaun Watson.
And I know he's capable of that. He's
That's right.
capable of
That's
throwing it
right.
into the dirt. Continue. There's more.
Well, just one more. He has taken 31 sacks, which is 11 more than the next quarterback.
Well, I mean, that sucks for him. But the other's his fault. That one.
He is the
some
highest
could be his
percentage
fault.
of sacks accredited to him of any quarterback in the league.
Damn it! There's always a number. There's always
that's
like
right.
every time I'm like, well, that's that damn offensive line. But then my guy, Mr.
He is the
Analytics
lowest
over here.
6-week EPA of any quarterback since the stat was created. That goes all the way back to Jamarcus Russell in the 2000 draft class, who's noted as the worst quarterback ever normally.
Anytime you're in that conversation
yeah.
with Jamarcus Russell,
Jamarcus Russell, Josh Rosen, and David Carr were the names right above Deshaun Watson on that list. Above Deshaun Watson on that list.
David Carr, there's a name.
Oh, yeah. Number 1 overall pick.
Those are all really. Those aren't names you want to be involved in.
No. Those are not names you want to be better than
those
you.
losers are poor.
They are. Okay, that's true.
That's the. I mean, right
That's
now,
true.
Deshaun's. I don't really care. I'm rich.
It's honestly, it is. Round of applause to Deshaun Watson for waiting to forget how to play football until after he signed a fully guaranteed contract.
Not all of us could be Kirk Cousins,
Right.
You know,
No.
I mean, I just
Yeah, that's big time.
Kirk Cousins' agent's a pretty good one too, but Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
is a pretty good quarterback.
That's
so,
right.
You know, it is what it is. But you know, we bring all of this up because, like I
I didn't
said,
do the Brown. I can do the Brown stats too if you want.
the thing is, I'm setting all of this up
So,
because
I'll set it up too. The
Good.
Browns are entering into play at 1-5, as we all know. They have yet to score 20 points in a game. They are the first team in a decade, Kinner, to accomplish that feat.
Wow.
To not score 20 points in the first 6
Congratulations.
games. They have scored 1 time in their last 29 drives. They are ranked 30th in points per game, scoring 15. They are ranked 32nd, dead last, in yards per game, 239 per game. They are ranked 32nd, dead last, in yards per play, 3.8. 28th in touchdowns per game, and 32nd, dead last, in third down conversions, only converting on 18% of their third downs.
that's what you're saying. Little room for improvement.
A little room for improvement.
What he's
yeah.
saying is, holy cow, the Bengals cannot lose this weekend.
Thank you. That was my hope. I was like, let's
Yeah.
get it all out.
Yeah.
Because as pressure filled as this feels
Yeah.
for Cleveland, I feel like this is just a very bad opportunity for, or a good, I don't know how you want to word it. It's a dangerous opportunity for
Absolutely.
the Cincinnati Bengals because, you know, had you lost to the Panthers a few weeks ago, that would have been embarrassing. Had you lost to Daniel Jones and the Giants on Sunday Night Football, that wouldn't have felt great. It didn't feel good for you guys to lose to the Patriots in week 1. But you just heard how historically bad this Cleveland Browns team is. How historically bad Deshaun Watson is. You can't lose on Sunday.
Right.
There's just no way. And I don't care if it's not Joe Burrow's fault. I don't care if he throws for 799 yards and 11 touchdowns. If they lose, that is a bad look for Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Zack Taylor should be fired. Anarumo should be fired. This is a very pressure-filled game for Cincinnati more than Cleveland. Because if Cleveland loses, and many people do believe that will be the case, par for the course. They're 1-6 at that point. The Browns are bad. We know this. But if they win, with everything you just said, man, oh man, when I come in on Monday, I'll have stats, I'll have some numbers, and I'll have, most importantly, the last laugh.
Well, then that's fine.
And it'll be a big chuckle,
and
too.
I told you I'm not coming in on Monday if that happens. If Deshaun throws for 300, I'm not coming into work on
If there's
Monday.
anything people say about Elliot, it's that he's a gracious loser.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That
And I don't hold
he'll
grudges.
take it on the chin,
That's
and
right.
he'll come in.
He's Kirby Smart,
Right. Yeah, oh,
Chucks
yeah.
a guy on the way.
There's no list
no,
of people that have wronged him, that have had terrible things happen to them immediately afterwards.
No. That's out of context. If you'd like that story, you can never find out about it. But yeah, so listen. If the Bengals were to lose this game, then not only is the season dead,
Right.
I don't believe in them any longer, and then I have to somehow answer to the fact that Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, the worst team in football, beat them. And it doesn't make sense because they shouldn't beat them. I know the 6 straight losses in Cleveland thing All of that gets thrown out the window when you see how that team's performing this season. Nick Chubb, we talked about it last night a little bit. He's not going to be on a full rep.
Right?
He won't have full reps.
There's no way.
Stefanski said that he's not.
Okay.
Or Stefanski said he's going to monitor it.
Cool.
And Stefanski, he has a lot of power.
That's right.
That's true. I'm just saying, they can't lose this one. They can lose any game the rest of the season, and I'll be upset, sure.
Well, they do play the Browns the second time.
Yeah, but I'm the second time so far down the line that like I can forget about what happens.
And it might be Jameis at that point.
Yeah, correct.
Which I could swallow.
Correct. So if it's Jameis, then I'd take everything back. But it's not. As of right now, it's Deshaun. They cannot lose the game.
Well, I can't wait for Sunday, 1 o'clock, Bengals Browns,
And then halftime.
and at halftime, I'm making my
That's gonna be
Chatterbox
so much
Bengals. It
fun.
might be. It's a one-off.
I hope it's going to be fun.
It'll never happen again.
40-0. I want this halftime score to be 40-0.
I hope.
So there was a few years ago, someone made fun of my haircut, and it was a Bengals fan. I ticked him off. They called in. They said, "I hate you. I hate your show, and I hate your
Fair.
Megan Rapinoe haircut." And it was one of the most legendary calls I've ever received on the show. So I got that guy to call back, and I made a bet because I was just telling him all the reasons why the Browns are going to win that game. And I was adamant that they were going to do it. Baker Mayfield's still the quarterback. So we made a bet that because, Megan Rapinoe with the purple hair, I said if the Bengals beat I was so confident that the Browns are going to beat the Bengals that I was willing to dye my hair purple to prove a point. I was terrified. That very first play of the game was the pick six from Joe Burrow to Denzel Ward where he ran it 100 yards back for the score. Oh, man, I was so happy. I was like, this is good. Oh, thank God. I was not ready to dye my hair purple. I would have backed out. I would not have done it. I would have been that guy.
All right, 3-2-1, Noel.
Yeah. Uh-oh. What? Well, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
That's you.
What he had to do was way worse, though. I mean,
That's true. That's
I could
true.
shave
Way
my head.
worse. Did he
so.
come back to Twitter yet?
I don't believe so.
You'd have
We
to
have not
see.
forgotten. We have not forgotten.
People don't forget. That's what they say.
That's correct.
All right. Well, we got headlines around the corner. The team in Cleveland that does know how to win games, the Guardians, who I am aggressively rooting against. They brought a smile to my face.
Aggressively rooting against the
I
Cleveland
wore my
Guardians.
Yankees jersey. I do have a Yankees jersey.
Who?
How about this? It's
Why
an
do you have
A-Rod
a
jersey from back in the day. It was an Alex Rodriguez jersey from back in the day. It was from a family member, okay, who knew I
Doesn't
like
make it
sports, and he got me the jersey, and I love
He
my
knew
family.
he knew you were a big fan of just any big market, so the Yankees were an easy
I have
choice.
Cowboys jerseys, Lakers
That's right.
jerseys. Let's keep the the closet filled with those jerseys. But I wore it last night. It was great. And I had a great time. But kudos to the Cleveland Guardians because in the midst of me aggressively rooting against them, they brought a smile to my face. I'm sure we'll talk about that with Elliot's headlines coming up around the corner. We do got more Browns-Bengals stuff to dive into. We have our NFL picks, little buy or sell Browns-Bengals edition.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You
Yes.
break out the special
Yes.
features on a Friday of Browns-Bengals
That's what we're talking
week.
about, baby.
We'll be right back. More Off the Bench next.
Wait, what happened?
Shut up, Craig. Why does it say that in the middle? I don't even know what's happening.
So whoever's in charge of the graphics in the morning, I don't know who that would be. Not gonna say it's me. Did not change the topics on the lower third from yesterday's show, and Craig pointed it out. So the third segment of today's show is now titled "Shut Up, Craig."
I see.
Very nice. Producer Craig.
That's right. Thank you,
The
Craig.
show doesn't have a
I'll see you
producer,
Sunday,
but-
Craig.
That's right.
Can we just name him the producer of the show? He's
Honorary
he
member.
is the producer of the show.
Honorary member. I'm fine with it.
But I'll take the bullet for that one. Jake changes those, or assuming he is the guy that does it. The
yeah,
guy
right.
that does
We
it,
don't name it.
changes it based on what I send. And I didn't send anything
That
today.
is good. That is
so I will
correct.
take that bullet. Because, Craig's vicious, dude.
That's
and
right.
I just can't watch you take those
No,
bullets,
it's
dude.
tough. It's a tough life. It's a tough life.
But nonetheless, we welcome you back Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, and ESPN 1410 Wing AM in Dayton. Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, and Jacob Tissett with you here on a Friday. The build to Browns-Bengals on Sunday. I mean, you can just feel it. Michigan and Ohio State. I mean, that's boring.
Are people still showing up to Browns games? Like, are the games still crowded? Like, that's not like I know it's a joke, but like people stopped showing up to Bengals games for a little bit there.
Well, they have. Here's the problem. Here's the problem I'm going to have with Browns fans on Sunday. We might push headlines back because just 1 second on this because I
Let
forgot.
me get to work.
I forgot about this.
Let them cook.
I've been seeing a lot on social media that Browns fans can't wait for this game for all the wrong reasons. Now, we all can agree, as Elliot, very eloquently explained in the opening segment, that Deshaun Watson has some deficiencies. He's a couple, a little rough around the edges.
A little bit.
And Browns fans are sick of it, apparently. And they are apparently planning just to boo as loud as they possibly can. They want their boos to be heard. And I don't know how I feel about that. And I also don't know how I characterize what a good fan base is versus a bad fan base, because the Browns have always been back and forth on. Like, the Browns have always taken pride in saying, hey, we're the number one fan base in the NFL because we stick with our team through all the losing. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how you characterize what a good fan base is, but does that characterize them as the number one fan base in the NFL? Like, they don't disappear for a little bit and come back. Your fan base does. It's okay. You can admit it. They do. They disappear for a bit. They come back. Some games couldn't be aired on TV because it couldn't sell out the stadium. Joe Burrow comes in. Now they're one of the most popular brands out there. That's okay. I'm not saying that's good or bad. Now, I look at the Browns. No matter how bad they are, they fill up that stadium. They sell out that stadium. They're a passionate fan base. And I've said, I don't know if that's something to brag about. Imagine if you go to a local restaurant and you walk in and the service is absolutely atrocious. The food tastes like absolute crap. All right, parking's horrible. All right, the open sign flickers a lot and then sometimes goes out. It's a real fire hazard, right? Like, there's a short in the wire. But you go every single day because you're loyal. You're loyal to small businesses in your community. Or you're an idiot. Because how is that business ever supposed to actually get better? How is that business supposed to look at their crappy menu and say, we have horrible food on this menu, but these idiots keep showing up. We don't even have to cook our chicken all the way. These people love salmonella. Like, it's absolutely insane. They love food poisoning. They fill up this place all the time because of the fact that they are loyal to local business. And I'm like, and hey, our waitress, she's a treat. She's real nice to everybody. Not really, but hey, no customers don't go away. They love being treated like crap. They love the bad food. They love the bad customer service. They love that there's no parking. They love that they don't even know what restaurant they're in because the open sign and the display's always off. But they keep showing up. No, that wouldn't happen. That doesn't happen in real life. But that's what happens with the Cleveland Browns no matter how many times we get food poisoning, no matter how many times we can't find a parking spot. And eventually you won't even be able to find the Browns downtown Cleveland because they're moving like 45 minutes away. But that's besides the point. I don't know. Does that make them the most loyal fan base that you're willing to just continue to stick with them with all the losing?
Well, there's probably just not much else to do in Cleveland.
There's plenty to do in Cleveland, dude. There's a lot to do in
You
Cleveland.
can go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, the river that catches on fire.
The river that catches on fire.
That's right.
We
Listen,
don't have any
to
rivers
be-
that catch on fire.
Correct. Our rivers
are water.
Yeah, correct. Listen, with respect, the Browns showing up to every game, the fans showing up to every game, that's great and all, but I do think at some point it is nice to, like, if your player's playing bad, I think you boo them. There's a large portion on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, that say booing is bad. You can't boo at games.
No.
They don't like that. You don't boo the home team. Don't boo your own guys. And though I get the sentiment, if you got a guy who's not performing well, why not voice your opinion?
Or a guy with over 20 sexual assault allegations. You can boo him as well.
Yes. Alleged.
But the season's on the line.
I like booing.
Pretend you don't know about the allegations.
That's
Put
fair.
the allegations aside.
That's fair.
But the season's on the line on Sunday.
You're right.
And you have to win this game if you're both teams. But you have to win this game if you're Cleveland. You have to. And you are going as you are operating against your team. You are planning to show up to your home stadium to boo the hell out of Deshaun Watson, to make it even harder on him, which you need him technically. I mean, at the end of the day, you're stuck with him. You need him. You need him to be his best. I get being frustrated. You've already let it be known on social media. But I have a huge problem if the Browns home fans show up on Sunday and boo the living hell out of him and make it even more difficult in a game that they have to win just to semi-feel like you have a shot the rest of the way. You want to make it harder to beat the in-state rival that is the Cincinnati Bengals? I don't know about you, but I hate your team. I hate the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't care what happens the rest of the way. Oh, this is your Super Bowl, Kinder. You're damn right. I don't care what happens the rest of the way. They have to win on Sunday. I don't care about the playoffs. I don't care if Deshaun Watson isn't good the rest of the season. He needs to be good on Sunday. All right, Nick Chubb, I don't know if he could walk, but walk on Sunday. Run on Sunday. Score touchdowns on Sunday. All right, I don't care what happens after. I want Joe Burrow to lose. I want the Bengals to lose. I don't want the Bengals. I want you guys smiling. I don't want no group text talking bleep.
Oh, the group text, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I don't want any of that.
Stream might be lacking this week because I'm going to be in the phone just texting Kinner the whole time.
They can't boo this week. You can't boo. You can't sit there and say we're the most loyal fan base out there and then show up to a big AFC North rivalry game with arguably the second best quarterback in the NFL and work against your own team in that situation. I just can't get down with that.
If they boo them from the kickoff, I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you.
Okay.
If it starts going poorly and Deshaun turns the ball over or spins into a sack or it really starts looking ugly, and I'm talking first 2 or 3 drives, and then they go off the deep end, I think for every reason you just said, I think that's a good call because this is a must-win game.
Yeah.
This is the season being over. And if Deshaun proves yet again that he can't do it and it's going to cost you your season this time, I think it's absolutely fair to boo. And I think it is something to brag about that the fans keep going to games when they're as bad as they are because I don't think that's very common.
The question is, will they boo for both teams or just for their team, the Cleveland Browns?
So
they
that's
won't
because
cheer you guys. They won't cheer you guys.
Philly
They
boos
won't-
everyone.
they
Philly
won't-
boos everyone.
Correct. They won't cheer for the Bengals, but maybe they need a break from all the booing on the offensive side of the football.
Right.
Maybe they're like, okay, we'll just let Joe Burrow work a little bit.
Or
and
do
then
they
we'll come back to
cheer
booing.
for their defense?
Or maybe that's what they
And then
do.
boo.
That
Because
sounds-
usually you cheer when you're on
Yeah.
offense and then boo when you're on
That's
defense.
right.
What if they just flip it?
That's correct.
God, what a loser fan base. Trying to figure out how to boo and cheer our team at the same time. What is happening? What is happening? As far as that, and that's the thing too. If it's just booing Deshaun, fine, but you're not doing what you think you're doing. You're not doing
You're
yourself
right.
any favors.
You're right.
In that particular situation, you know?
Displeasure from the fan base, at least vocally at home games. Maybe if it is an owner decision to start Deshaun, could switch that though. I mean, if the stadium's packed out and they're booing Deshaun Watson for 60 minutes of an AFC North football game, maybe if Stefanski is asking to play Jameis Winston, the owners could see that and be like, well, shoot.
What do you think it will take? I know we've had this discussion already. What do you think it will take for them to legit bench him?
Well, I mean,
Do you think? Because I think
Because I don't think
they're-
it's play anymore.
Well, I was going to say I think that if they keep losing, you play him to punish him, and you do it as a way to embarrass him. It's like public humiliation. If you win,
then you pull him.
I think you might have to pull him and say, okay, we might have a chance now. Let's put the real quarterback in.
now hold on. We're not some crap organization like the
That's
Steelers. Okay, we're not the Pittsburgh Steelers. all
Deshaun
right?
claws them back to 500 and you slide Jameis in there.
I mean, look, at this point, I have no idea. Their whole, as we've talked about, their reasoning is with all the money he's being paid, he has to be the starter. But he's the starter for the next 2 years. He's getting that same money the next 2 years. So are we just, is he the quarterback the next 2 years based on this logic?
Yeah.
But the question is, do you want to win games or do you want to pay your guy $48 million? So that's like, and again, I understand the rationale behind it because if Joe Burrow was making $55 million and he was the worst quarterback of all time, it's hard to sit there and be like, bench him because you're paying him that much money. You have to see what he's worth. But you know what Deshaun's worth. You've seen it for the past 2 seasons. He's not worth anything. Somehow that contract was made, the worst contract of all time, and now you're living with it. If I were Jimmy Haslam, I'd look at this season, I'd play Deshaun Watson, and if it doesn't get better, then next season he will not be starting. He will not. You can't do it because you
Would
can't.
you cut him?
You can't throw. I don't know if I'd cut him. I'd probably leave him on the team, which is a tough place to be.
Just inactive QB3.
Because it would be.
I don't think you dress him as the 2.
No, probably not. I think I don't know. I really don't know what the correct answer here is.
But the thing is, he's getting paid the cap hit.
Right.
And he's getting paid no matter what. So, like, I actually think the fact that it's fully guaranteed money every single dime, it actually makes this easier. You are either going to lose with him starting, he's going to get every dime coming to him, or you have a chance of winning with him off to the side. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That money is gone. That money that Cleveland has guaranteed him, that money doesn't exist anymore. It's officially his. So every decision that's made moving forward, this isn't even about money anymore. And I don't get my fans try to wrap their heads around that logic of, well, they've paid him a lot, he needs to be the starter. Well, that ain't my money. I didn't give him that money. I don't care about that. From that standpoint, that's pride getting in the way of trying to win football games. Because we saw last year, they won games with him, not because of him, but they won games with him. But they won games. They started really winning games when they put in a quarterback that could actually throw the damn football.
Yeah.
When Joe Flacco got it, like there was a difference. They were a winning football team when Joe Flacco took over. It's not like they were losing and Joe Flacco came in and all of a sudden they started winning.
Yeah.
They were already winning. But they started looking like a contender when Joe Flacco took over. And I think that's what – and Jameis Winston, I don't think he's going to take him to a Super Bowl or anything, but they're good enough to make the playoffs in the AFC that looks very weak right now. But they have to do it now. What's the point? If they change to him in week 8 or 9, I don't see what the point is. By that point, you're 1-7. You're not making the playoffs at that point.
You made fun of my and
Made
I was
fun.
I was a little bit of a it was a little bit of a bit that Browns players are actively not trying when Deshaun Watson's in, but it does make a difference when Jameis Winston comes in and everybody's having fun. It does make a little bit of a difference. The product on the field will change if the quarterback is a guy that everybody respects and likes and wants to play with. That's a fact. It would absolutely happen. I'm not going to say they would win games, but the product that you're seeing now would not be the product you'd get with Jameis
Do you think
Winston.
it's weird that Jameis does all the pregame speeches and everything?
He's the hype man.
I feel like
dude.
every
his job, I
no,
guess.
but
That's
no
his only
other
job.
team is the backup quarterback doing that stuff. Even Andy Dalton's terrible playmaker speech, he was still doing
Playmakers
the
on 3.
speech.
Yeah, and I do believe the whole reason Flacco's not in Cleveland is because of the distraction that
Right.
it would create.
It
if
would
he
have been
was
so loud by now.
behind. Oh, yeah.
Louder than it already is, and it's loud with Winston.
And it's worse when you got Baker, who's first in every
Yeah.
major statistical category when it comes to QB play. You look at what Joe Flacco is doing statistically. I saw something the other day that the most yards and the most touchdowns from the quarterback position since he made his first start in Cleveland last year to now, Joe Flacco would actually be the number 1 quarterback in the NFL from when he started last year to now if he was the full-time starting quarterback with the Colts. Like that's it's making it worse. And if Baker goes on to win an MVP this year, which I don't think he will, but he's
I don't
well
know.
on his way.
I don't
at the
know that
halfway
you have to worry
point.
about that sucker.
Yeah, he it's just wild to me how bad things have gotten. Now you talked about the reason I just can't buy that this team never quit on Deshaun in the past. I don't think they're quitting on him now. I think this team's just as bad on the offensive side, really, really bad. I mean, Amari Cooper, you're saying all his drops are because he
I'm not
quit.
saying all of them. I'm saying that the fundamental attitude when you're out there playing football changes when the guy throwing you the football is a guy that quite literally nobody
Why
in the
are you
league
walking
respects
that
or
back
likes.
after a few days? Did you find something out over the last couple of days that would lead to you walking that back a little bit?
I'm not walking it back. Am I walking it back?
You're Michael
Why-
Jackson
how am I
moonwalking
walking
that
it back? I just stood by it.
Amari Cooper, with all those drops, you said the other day, is because he quit on his quarterback. Is it because you found something out?
No,
Did you find out that the lead league leader in drop passes in the NFL is Amari Cooper and has been the league leader in drop passes since 2021? Is it because you might have found out who's second? Is it because you might have found out who is second in drop passes behind Amari Cooper since 2021? Is that maybe why you're moonwalking it back just a tad?
I don't think I walked it back. I never said all of his play was because of it. I said a lot of it.
But that's walking it back from what you said the other day.
But that's not walking it back. I said that. That's what I said. Those are my words.
I mean, I think that
Those
you
are my words.
You need to be concerned about the leadership of Joe Burrow
Craig told me to eat the W.
because Jamar Chase is right behind Amari Cooper with leading the league in drops, by the way, which I didn't even know that, but I do find that quite interesting. From 2001 to present, Amari Cooper has the most drops with 32. But there's a surprising name in second place, and that's Jamar Chase.
2021, right?
Chase, yeah.
Certainly. Oh, okay.
What did I say?
2001.
No, my bad. No,
I was going to say, if Jamar
2021.
Chase leads the NFL in drops since 2001, we have a problem.
2021 to now. Amari Cooper leads the NFL in drops with 32. Jamar Chase has 29 drops.
Because there's
as
no
far as
stripes
that's
on the ball,
concerned.
Kenner. He can't
know?
catch the NFL football. He needs the college ball.
Now, to be fair, 22 of those came in that first season. But that's besides the point. That's
Do you think,
besides
do you
the
think
point.
having the most drops correlates to having the most targets because you're the best player on the team? Best wide receiver on the team?
No, I think he's quitting on his quarterback. I think Jamar Chase doesn't trust
Do you
his
think that
quarterback.
correlates? Do you think that
I think
correlates?
that maybe Joe Burrow's
Do
up
you
to
think
some
Amari
things
Cooper
behind
being
the
the
scenes.
only? Do
Maybe
you think Amari Cooper being the only competent wide receiver in Cleveland has to do with his many drops?
No,
And that
it's
all-
because
that
he
gets
quit
15
on
targets a
Deshaun
game?
Watson. That's exactly what I mean.
just saying.
That's how we got here. Amari Cooper quit on his quarterback, and that's why he leads the league in drops since 2021. And Jamar Chase, I think, truly doesn't like Joe Burrow. I think there's chemistry issues there. I don't think those two truly like each other. In fact, it's obvious.
I think you're right.
When you're choosing, when the ball's right in your hands, and Jamar Chase just chooses to drop it, I think there's problems there, Elliot. I really do. I'd be concerned. Elliot logic, love it.
Elliot logic is great. Elliot logic is on point. And I didn't walk a thing back.
Moonwalk. We'll be right back with Elliot's headlines. What will he
Oh,
walk
yeah, this
back
was the
next?
headline
This was the headline
This
segment.
was the
forgot about
headline
that.
segment.
This
but,
is actually now the Browns talk segment.
We'll be right back. Elliot's headlines, everybody. We're not going to waste any time. I wasted enough time. Let's get right into it. There's so much to get into. Elliot rearing, everybody. Elliot's headlines.
Oh!
Elliot loves three things: Joey Votto, David Bell, and leading off the bench with top headlines.
That's right. I only have two things, so not a lot to talk. MLB playoffs. The Guardians beat the Yankees in a thriller. They won 7-5 in extras to cut the series lead to 2-1. Giancarlo Stanton hit the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. They would add another 5-3 lead heading into the bottom of the 9th when Noel, a.k.a. Big Christmas, hit a missile to deep left field to tie the game and extend the game to extras. David Fry was the hero in the 10th. That is a baseball game. This MLB postseason, I'd argue, is the best MLB postseason that I've seen in the last 10 years. I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
I'm trying to think of one that has had this many big moments, and I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe it's because I tune out the MLB postseason when the Reds aren't in it usually. But I've been glued to my TV watching most of these games.
Maybe it's because you have markets like New York and Los Angeles. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just does that have something to do with it?
Do you think that's what it was? Do you think that's
it could? You know, I don't know. Really
I don't
feels
think that's
like it.
Yeah, I don't think that's
I
why.
have a David Fry stat for you.
Please.
In MLB history, only one player has hit a 2-out, 2-strike go-ahead home run in the 7th inning or later twice in his postseason career. That one player is David Fry, and both came within the last 8 days in games he didn't start.
Oh,
Look at that.
how about that?
Look at that. David
David
Fry,
Fry.
great fantasy baseball player because he's eligible at the infield, outfield catcher.
Is he really?
Yes.
Good for him. The Dodgers, they whooped the Mets 10-2. Shohei and Mookie each went deep. Yamamoto 4 1/3, allowing 4 hits, 2 earned runs. Dodgers and Mets play tonight at 5. Jack Flaherty versus David Peterson. And then the Yankees and Guardians are at 8. They switched up the times, where it's Luis Gill, and Gavin Williams. Those are the only headlines from yesterday. I also saw Jay Cutler was arrested.
Oh, no.
Jay Cutler has been arrested, unfortunately. The Bears' best quarterback of all time.
Well, not anymore.
Well, that's fair.
It didn't take long.
It didn't take long. No, I
did
saw
not take long.
I saw an EPA chart for rookie seasons of Bears quarterbacks. It was Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, Caleb Williams. Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky trending in negative basically all year long. Caleb Williams going that same direction through the first 3 weeks and then directly up and down vertical back to the positive through the last 2. So great trends for the Bears rookie.
Yes.
Last night, Thursday Night Football, Denver.
That's right.
4-3. I really don't remember what your guys' take on Denver was coming into
Sneaky
the
ball
season.
club. Well, Reed told me to bet the over 5.5 wins, and I told him that was a dumb bet.
I would have bet the over on the 5.5 wins. I wouldn't have bet on them being good, but I mean here they are at 4-3 in a conference that I don't think it's so unpredictable right now. I mean we keep talking about the Bengals' chances of sneaking into one of those final, and I don't even think it's sneaking at this point. I think they're one of the favorites to land one of those final 3 wild card spots. But I didn't really look at Denver as being a team that might be in their way, and that might be the case. I mean Denver's 4-3. I don't know how much of that you're believing in. I know this is what when people always say about the NFL. It's not college football where style points matter. That's where I disagree. I know style points. There's not a committee that's gathering around, a table and trying to decide who makes the playoff and who doesn't. But this is where logic comes into play. And I'm curious what logic is telling us about this Denver Broncos team who looks hideous. They don't look good, but somehow here they are sitting at 4-3. We talk a lot about that with the Pittsburgh Steelers at times where we just don't understand it. It's annoying. They win games, and you don't get it. You don't understand how they're doing it because they have every excuse for why other teams in the NFL are bad. They have some of those deficiencies, and yet they find a way to win football games. Sean Payton, some people hate him. Other people love him. I think he's a very good NFL coach, and I think we're seeing that because Denver has no business being 4-3, and yet here they are.
That defense is really, really good, and Bo Nix is doing, I guess, just enough to continue to get wins. I mean, they scored 33 points last night, and he throws for 160 yards. It's not exactly like he's lighting the world on fire, but he's continuing to get wins, so I don't know what more you can ask for. They're 4-3. They're currently sitting in that 7th spot in the playoffs if the season ended today. And I would still comfortably say they're the 3rd best team in that division. I would take the Chiefs and the Chargers over them if you made me pick right now. So I really have no faith in the Broncos going on a late season run. I do think they're going to end with obviously more than that 5.5 preseason win total, and I do think they could play spoiler to a lot of teams. They play the Chiefs the last week of the season, the Bengals the second to last week of the season, the Chargers the week before that, and the Colts the week before that. All of those teams are going to be fighting for the AFC playoffs, the Chiefs fighting for seeding, and I certainly think the Broncos are a team to watch to play spoiler as we get later down in the season, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think Bo Nix is good enough to win games when he has to actually win them the football game. He's good enough to manage the game, and I think he's still shown a lot more than I expected him to show this early in his young career, but I'm not too excited about the Broncos this season, though I do think the defense is very legit.
He can run around. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He can run around a little bit, 75 yards rushing. He's just not a good quarterback. He's got a little bit of the Justin Fields in him where I just don't believe in him whatsoever. I think what you're seeing is, and it's hard for me to say they only beat bad teams because I feel like I've said that a lot. A lot of the AFC is not great.
Right.
A lot of the AFC is not good. They beat
When there's only 4 good teams in the conference, every team that has wins is being bad teams.
They beat the Saints without players. They beat the Raiders, and they beat the Jets 10-9 in a game on the road.
That was a riveting football game.
Riveting. And then they also beat the Buccaneers somehow. I don't understand that one, but
In Tampa,
in
right?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the Broncos have 4 wins. I don't think they're very good. I think usually when you see teams like this, water will find its level. I think water's going to find its level with the Steelers. I think water's going to find its level right here. I don't think the Browns are. I watched 3/4 of that game last night, and it was disgusting.
So here's what's coming. And again,
Their number 1 wide receiver didn't get a catch in that game.
4-3 right now, and they have the Panthers coming up for their next game. They have a good chance of getting at 5-3 at the halfway point. Now, that's where it gets a little dicey for the Broncos because right after they play the Panthers coming up on the 27th, they're at Baltimore, they're at Kansas City, they're at home against the Falcons. So those are their next 3. But that could be a situation where they're still 500 as they had, heading into December. I think that late November they're at the Raiders, and that could be a winnable game right there.
Yeah.
But after the Panthers, which they could realistically win that, get to 5-3 on the season, then you could see them getting to 5-5 because you got the Ravens, Chiefs, and Falcons after that, 500. But then you're at the Raiders, Browns, Colts, and then there's I don't know. I think the Broncos will be in the race for one of those final 3 spots just because. And we've talked about this before. Like, what's the least amount of wins to get that final wild card spot? We talking 10?
9.
I think 9.
9? Then the
9
Broncos
could get you
definitely.
in.
Yeah. Then
They'll
Denver.
be high on the graphic late in the season. When they
Yep.
put up the in the hunt graphic, they'll be like the 2nd or 3rd team, and like when they come to Cincinnati, second to last game of the year, they're going to be right up there in that AFC graphic, probably neck and neck with the Bengals. Honestly, that's going to be a massive game.
Massive.
For playoffs because that's
Yeah.
also a conference win. And as I've said before, Bengals the only team in the AFC without a conference win so far, and that's a big time tiebreaker for getting in.
Yeah, and speaking of tiebreakers, again, and it's funny because I'm seeing that Cleveland, who's 1-5, they have so many tiebreakers right now just because their one win is against an AFC team.
Yeah.
Because they beat Jacksonville. They hold some
Yeah.
tiebreakers right now over some teams because of that, who they haven't even played. But like the Jets right now, they're 2-4, but they win the tiebreaker over Cincinnati and the Raiders based on best win percentage in conference games.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for the Las Vegas Raiders at this point, and I don't think I'm confident in picking or any of those teams over the Bengals, even with the Jets at this point getting Devontae Adams. So, but the Jets do have a defense. So who knows as far as that goes. So the Jets, by the way, when do you start paying attention to playoff standings? Like when does that, like baseball, we know we have a rule.
Thanksgiving?
So Thanksgiving?
Ish. I won't look at the standings and determine who to root for and against until Thanksgiving. Like looking at games back and stuff like that, that'll be right around Thanksgiving.
Because I found myself last night with that game. I don't give a rip about the Saints, but I did not want the Broncos to win just because any AFC team.
I guess you're right. Yeah, no, I was kind of doing that too.
Because like now, if the Bengals get out to a start that you had anticipated, we don't care about that. You wouldn't care about that. If the Browns are playing the way our fan base expected them to, I wouldn't have given a rip about last night's game. But when you're 1-5 like Cleveland and you're 2-4 like Cincinnati, paying attention to the Broncos as we sit here in mid-October does become a thing just because of that.
Yeah.
As far as that
I
goes.
think at this point with the Bengals, and it really started a few weeks ago, honestly, it's just we need to win every game. So I'm not really worried about anyone else. When we get to 5-5 or back to 500, that kind of syncs up with the Thanksgiving timeline that I just said. But it's more we need to take care of enough business that I know I have a reason to watch around the league. Because as of right now, I'm still not entirely convinced that I should be watching for playoff standings. So
I start watching it pretty much right away. I always try to say, like, let's wait until Thanksgiving. Don't freak out yet. But I'm always looking at the playoff standings and who is the chance to get the 1 seed. Who has the chance to, get home field advantage? I'm always looking at it, especially when you have a team that is supposed to be good enough to make the playoffs.
yeah.
So
If we were in that mix, I would be too.
Correct. It's just like right now it's tough, and I have to keep saying that the Steelers beat bad teams and the Broncos beat bad teams. Bengals as of right now are one of those bad teams, unfortunately. I think they can turn it around. I think a win on Sunday brings them right back to life, as if nothing happened in the first 7 weeks. But you have to win it, and you have to take care of the garbage. That's just what it is.
Again, if Cincinnati is 2-4. Broncos 4-3. If Cincinnati stubs their toe against Cleveland and you're 2-5, there's still only 2 more. The Broncos have a 2-win jump on you. Like a lot of you would count the season is done for the Bengals if they lose to Cleveland on Sunday. But you look up and there's a Denver team that's 4-3, and there's the Colts who are 3-3, and there's the Dolphins who are 2-3, and the Dolphins. Was it just as simple as Tua not being out there? How they just fallen off a cliff? Is Tua that important? We're going to find out here in a few weeks.
I guess, yeah.
But all those teams that are ahead of the Bengals, even the Raiders, not sold on any of those. I don't even know if the Bengals lose on Sunday if their season's done, as dumb as that sounds at this point, 2-5, 7 weeks in. It'll be done for you. Mentally, you'll give up on this team. But, again, it's
0-4 in conference is where I get to the point where it's
the tiebreakers.
What do you – because you win out then you're 12-4 and you still probably don't have the tiebreakers to win the division.
Yeah.
So you legitimately have to win probably 10 or 11 games to even have a shot once you're 0-4 in conference. That's the reason. It is less about the 2-5 than it is how the 5 losses would have came at that point, which I think is the tough part. And that's why the Patriots lost. Obviously, you'd rather be 3-3 right now, but it's even more hurtful because they're an AFC team and a team that's the worst team in the AFC, and you took that loss. So if we would have lost to the Panthers instead of the Patriots, we'd even be in a better spot in that sense. Yeah.
What's wild, again, playoffs, it's mid-October, not a big deal. But if the playoffs started today, these are the teams and the quarterbacks that would not be in the postseason. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets.
Wow.
Those 3, if the playoffs started today out of the AFC, those quarterbacks, those teams who had high expectations coming into the year would be at home watching the postseason with everybody else. That's wild.
That is wild.
In the NFC, these are the teams that would be out of the playoffs. Because about the teams that are in the playoffs right now if it started today. But the teams that are on the outside looking in, Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, Caleb Williams and the Bears, Geno Smith and the Seahawks, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Those are the surprise ones to me as far as if the playoffs started today out of the NFC. Who's on the outside looking in based on preseason expectations. The fact that the Bucs with Baker Mayfield are in there, which shouldn't be a surprise right now. But
2-seed Falcons?
Think back to when the season started. Yeah, the Falcons you expected, right? But Sam Darnold and the Vikings being the 1 seed at 5-0. The Commanders at 4-2 with the Eagles and the Cowboys. It was like a coin flip between Eagles Cowboys of who would win this division coming in, and there's the Commanders there. Yeah, I kind of like some of the surprises.
It's fun.
That we've seen.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's not as chalky as it's been in the past, even though the AFC feels at the top at least. The 4 favorites to win the divisions are winning the division right now. So there's that. But the bottom and how tight every team feels. Is really fun. It's an NFL feel that I feel like we haven't had in a while. I feel like the last few years it's just been pencil in Chiefs-Niners at the top of each conference, and then, Burrow will slot himself in, and Lamar will go in the AFC, and then you'll have Dak and Hurts in the NFC, and we'll see what happens outside of those few spots. But this year, especially in the NFC, it really does feel like anyone can win. And in the AFC, it feels like anyone can get in, and when anyone can get in, anything can happen. So I think it's more open this year than it really ever has been, and that is with a 5-0 Chiefs team who's coming off back-to-back Super Bowl wins. So I think it's a lot of fun to watch, and certainly helps the Bengals digging themselves that hole have a chance to bounce back from it.
NFC, who's, again, playoffs started today. Who's in the playoffs right now that you guarantee will not be in it?
Ooh, that you guarantee will not be in it.
If you had to put money on a team, say, hey, I guarantee this team will not be there when the Week 17 officially wraps up.
Man.
I think all those teams are good. I think good teams out of the NFC are going to miss the playoffs.
I think I'm going to take it, too, at plus 170.
Like, good
I don't
teams
think the Commanders
are
are
going
to make the playoffs.
I was going to say that. I was either going to say Commanders or Eagles. It's going to be one of the.
But the Eagles aren't in right now.
Then who is it?
It's just the Commanders.
So it's all 4 teams from the NFC, right?
No. It's Vikings, Lions,
NFC
Packers
North.
from the NFC North, Bucks and Falcons from the South, Commanders and Niners.
Falcons won't make it.
You think the Bucks are going to win that division?
Yeah.
No shot.
Mike Evans a little banged up too,
Yeah.
questionable for Sunday, as far as that goes. So what's wild about the NFC right now, because we spend so much time on the AFC, obviously, but the scenario over the last couple of years, and I thought even this year, is playing out in the NFC, where I think the playoff picture, when the teams that are on the outside looking in, we never feel like, man, I can't believe that team didn't make it. I think we're going to get that in the NFC this year. Whoever's out of the playoffs in the AFC, we're going to be like, yeah, they didn't deserve it.
I think you're absolutely right.
The 7 seed in the AFC, we might be looking at saying you're lucky they expanded to 7 a few years ago, because I don't even think that team will deserve to be in. But this is wild that Jalen Hurts / Eagles, Dak Prescott / Cowboys, Caleb Williams, with the way he's been playing as of late in the Bears, they might miss the playoffs. The Seahawks are loaded. Well, I shouldn't say loaded, but I love their wide receiver room. I love their run game. I love their defense. That team's not good enough to make the playoffs. Yeah, the NFC is going to be fun as far as that goes. All right, coming up around the corner, what is more of an elimination game? This is the ultimate Jacob Tissett type of question. It's college football / NFL. Are you about to throw that at me?
I was going to see if you were ready.
Oh, I didn't know if you're going to. Do you want me to catch it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
You ready?
Know how athletic I am. Yep.
God.
When we come back, more off the bench.
Did you try
Next.
to miss that?
You threw it so hard. I don't trust you, dude.
Threw it so hard.
That's how I was trying to catch it. As
You
far
just
as
don't
that
like
goes.
Elliot. That's
Yeah,
why
it's
you
like
didn't
I don't like Elliot, Call me Jamar Chase with that drop right there, Anyway,
What a terrible joke.
I agree. Catch a football, Jamar Chase. Like, seriously. Facts. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. He's, since 2021, second in the NFL in drops. Come on, Jamar. No wonder the Bengals didn't want to pay your ass before the season started. Bum.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, look, Cleveland, they did the right thing. When you have a receiver that drops as many balls as they do, they got rid
Ship
of theirs.
him out of town.
But here's the Bengals about to make theirs the highest paid receiver in football.
That's
by the way.
right.
All a joke, all a bit, just to be.
That's
I know
right.
some people never know with me. I just wanted to clarify, But
I don't know where the bit ends.
I don't even know where it started. All right. Jacob Tissett, perfect question for him.
That's right.
Elimination weekend. There's a couple games this weekend in college football and the NFL that I think are what many people would qualify as an elimination game. On the college football side, you have Jacob Tissett's Alabama Crimson Tide, baby, getting set to take on Tennessee. And you also have Jacob Tissett's Cincinnati Bengals getting set to take on the Cleveland Browns. Both games, many people would qualify as an elimination game. The loser of Alabama-Tennessee, most likely out of the playoffs, and the loser of the Bengals and Browns game, most likely out of the playoffs. Which game, Jacob Tissett, is more of an elimination game, college football / NFL, Tennessee-Alabama or Browns-Bengals? Which one do you classify as more of a playoff elimination game when it's all said and done?
These are both going to be great games. I think, two rivalry games in the same weekend, Alabama, Tennessee in Knoxville, and then Bengals going to Cleveland. I think Bengals-Browns is a bigger elimination game. I think Alabama and Tennessee, sitting with 2 losses, whoever loses that game, still has a lot in front of them when we talk about the college football playoff. I mean, Tennessee doesn't play another ranked game as it sits right now. They go to Georgia, or outside of Georgia. They go to Georgia and then to Vanderbilt, who could sneak into the rankings. But even if they were to lose to Georgia and have 3 losses, depending on how the rest of the country shakes out, they could even sneak in there. But we're just talking about one game that they would have to cause an upset in order to sneak into the playoffs when it comes to Tennessee if they lose to Alabama this weekend. And then for Alabama, they have a tougher schedule absolutely as well, going to LSU and to Oklahoma, playing Missouri after Tennessee. But still, winning out after losing to Tennessee would allow them to make the playoffs almost certainly. I don't know that the Bengals or the Browns would have enough juice to sneak into the playoffs with a loss this week. The Bengals, potentially, just because of, like we've talked about before, how easy the schedule is for them down the stretch. You don't play a lot of teams that I see as playoff teams this year, so they'd have a chance to certainly rip off some wins and prove that they are a playoff caliber team, even if they do lose to the Browns this week. But you'd be sitting winless in the AFC. You'd be sitting winless in the division, 0-2, and I think the hill would just be too big to climb, and at 1-5 for the Browns, it wouldn't even be in question. There's no way. Or 1-6 for the Browns, there'd be no way for them to be able to get into the playoffs. So I think the NFL matchup is more of a playoff eliminator than Alabama-Tennessee is, though I think both certainly play a big role in postseason expectations for both teams.
I don't think we're at the elimination stage for at least for the big programs in college football. Not yet.
I agree.
Not yet. You got to wait a couple more weeks, and then we'll see down the line. Because again, there is some sort of knock on the college football expanded playoff that a lot of these teams, one loss does not eliminate you and honestly doesn't even come close. You can lose to whoever you want, whenever you want, as long as it's just that one time. It doesn't matter who anymore. And I think if you look at some of these teams, one big win almost carries them the rest of the way where you don't really need another. You can lose a couple games now. You can lose 2 games. I think we'll have a 3-loss team make the college football playoff at some point. I don't know if it'll be this season.
I think we'll have a 3-loss team make it this year.
This year? So I'm not going to say it's elimination time yet for college football. There will be a time coming up, but it's not right now.
I look at this. I still don't think the loser of Tennessee-Alabama is necessarily out of the postseason or out of the playoff picture. But I think it's one of those, it's not that you lose, it's how you lose. You can't get blown out. That was the one rule in the 14 playoff. You could lose a game, but you can't get blown out. I remember when Ohio State, it was the year that they won the Rose Bowl. It was Urban Meyer's final season. There was a lot of Buckeye fans that were furious that they were left out of the playoff. They won the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten championship. They only had one loss, but remember that one loss. They were perfect the entire season except for that one game against Purdue. And you could lose to Purdue. You're allowed to lose to Purdue. You can't get blown out. That's the one rule that the college football playoff stuck to the entire stretch. No team ever made the playoff that had a blowout loss. Teams made the playoff that had a loss, but they weren't blowout losses. Ohio State got blown out by Purdue. There was the season that one loss Ohio State didn't make the playoff because they had a loss against Iowa. They didn't miss the playoff because they lost to Iowa. They missed the playoff because they got blown out by Iowa, as far as that's concerned. Like, you can lose, you can't get blown out. And I think that if Tennessee and Alabama, if it does come down to the final play, if it's the final stretch, just like Alabama, Georgia was, just like Ohio State, Oregon was, I don't think you can 100% eliminate either of those teams as far as that goes. Both are very similar. Alabama and Tennessee, they both have a very good resume thus far, but they do have that one blemish. Losing at Vanderbilt, not a good team. Although, might be better than most Vanderbilt teams in the past.
It's going to be a ranked loss in a couple weeks.
That might be to be determined when it's all said and done. I actually am curious to see what the playoff committee does.
They were 31st this week, just outside of the AP poll.
And the college football playoff rankings, when those come out on November 5th, big day, by the way. Big day, huge day on November 5th. All right, I'm very curious to see what the committee does with Vanderbilt if they are still, if they've won out until then. So I say that you have the Arkansas loss for Tennessee. You can overlook that.
I think that's a worse loss than Vandy.
I do, because Vandy looks like they're better than Arkansas at this point. I think it's going to be one of those you have to wait till the end to really classify what that is. But Tennessee still has Georgia coming up.
For sure.
But if Alabama beats Tennessee this weekend, it doesn't erase the Vandy loss, but it does make up for it as far as that goes. So
and Alabama did win last week, and it didn't look good. I mean, they beat South Carolina, and South Carolina really had their way on offense, and they got an onside kick at the end of the game and had a chance to win it, or at least tie it and go to overtime. And the Alabama defense was able to come away with an interception, and almost, I don't know if you saw how that game ended, but they almost sent it to overtime with a safety. Jamani Jackson picked it off at the 5-yard line. His momentum carried him into the end zone, and he almost took a knee. And the safety grabbed his shoulders and pushed him out of the end zone. He would have tied the game, taken 2 points, tied the game, sent it to overtime. So there's still a lot going wrong with this Alabama team right now. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look anything like it did in the first half against Georgia, and it really hasn't since that point. Obviously, a 30-point comeback in the second half for Georgia. Alabama able to escape, and then a loss to Vanderbilt in Nashville, and then a really, really ugly 2-point win against South Carolina. I'm not too optimistic about this Tennessee game. This is the game that I picked as a loss for Alabama in the preseason. But with the way Tennessee's looked lately, I'm getting more and more optimistic, which is a little bit crazy considering that Alabama has looked worse than I expected, but requiring overtime to beat a Florida team that is really, really bad is not exactly reassuring. And only a 10-point win over Oklahoma, who we've seen now in the last few weeks. They're a joke. They're not a contender. So I don't know really what to expect out of this Tennessee team. They put up 69, 51, and 71 their first 3 weeks, and everyone thought that Nico and this offense was going to be record-breaking, and they really haven't been since. I was too.
I bought it too.
I was too. I had a Nico preseason Heisman bet. I thought he was going to be great, and for the first 3 weeks I was victory lapping, and then he's regressed massively since then. I mean, he's rolling out of absolutely clean pockets and running out of bounds as time expires. He has no idea what's going on. So I don't know what's going on with Tennessee, and I really don't know what's going on with Bama either. I think it's going to be an interesting game, and maybe a loser leaves town game in the sense of real top-tier competitors for the SEC. I mean, I think even if Alabama wins a close game and both teams look ugly, then you throw them both out the window of who can compete and actually win the SEC. I think both can still make the playoff, though.
Nonetheless. And then Bengals-Browns, you guys already touched on it. The Browns lose, that's it. They're 6 losses at this point. It's not like the Bengals have such a dominant side of the ball that you still feel confident they can overcome the early season losses down the stretch against an easy schedule. As far as Cleveland goes, they have one of the tougher schedules remaining. And if they lose on Sunday, it won't be because of defense. It's going to be because the offense, again, doesn't produce as far as that's concerned. So, well, yeah, I think that the Bengals can lose that game, still have a shot. The Browns lose, it's an elimination game. There's scenarios for every team to still make a run in their respective sports, but at the end of the day, it's not that you lose, it's how you lose. And I think that matters. You know, if Cleveland goes in and Deshaun all of a sudden looks like his old self and loses, I'm still not putting money on the Browns making the playoffs, but maybe there's something there. Maybe you catch fire. Crazier things have happened. Who knows? But, yeah, I think that the result itself for Cleveland, they lose, they're done. We'll see what happens.
I just think at some point you are who you are, and 6 weeks is a big enough sample size to determine who your team is. And as of right now, I think the Bengals are a solid team, a couple bad losses, but they don't have a defense. The offense looks fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There's been 2 outliers in those 6 games. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be optimistic if the Bengals are to win, because I think their season's all the way back. I'm going to temper my expectations. I'm not going to say they're going to win the division and go win a Super Bowl, but I do think if you're able to win this game, you get your first AFC win, and I think the playoffs start to become attainable. If you lose it at some point, and again, the Patriots loss, it's so frustrating because I'm not saying it was a cakewalk game. It's week 1. They don't have a terrible defense, but you have to win that game.
They're the worst team in football.
It's a game you have to win, and they didn't win it. The Browns are now the second worst team in football. The second worst. I will take the Carolina Panthers with Andy Dalton over the Browns as of this very second. And if you don't win this, I know who you are at this point, and you're just not good enough. You're not good enough to make the playoffs. You're not good enough to make a run. It's great that you have a great offense. Joe Burrow looks fantastic. Jamar Chase looks fantastic. But you don't have enough. I know who this team is. Through 7 weeks, you're 2-5. And I don't think there's coming back from it.
Yeah, see, with Cleveland, though, with that defense, I would still take them over Carolina. But, again, we're talking about the shortest little person, tallest little person at this point.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know really what you win. I don't know who wins in that contest. No, I'm the taller, shorter person. No, I'm the, and I've won that contest a few times. All right. But the bottom line is, don't know what you're winning in that. But nonetheless, other NFL news real quick to dive into. So Tom Brady, obviously, I think, did you guys touch on this yesterday? He gets approved as
we did.
Owner of the Raiders, okay? One of the first moves, according to rumors, that they're looking to make is to make Bill Belichick the head coach of the Raiders next season.
Oh.
So Antonio Pierce just snap, in and out.
I mean, again, so Tom Brady reportedly wants, according to NFL rumors and reports, Tom Brady reportedly wants Bill Belichick to become the Raiders head coach as far as that's concerned. So, look.
Who's the young quarterback that you match with Bill Belichick? Because I'm not exactly jumping at a 22-year-old. That means I think the Raiders are going to make a massive signing or trade.
Massive signing or Joe Flacco.
Joe
As silly
Flacco
as
is
that
always
sounds,
available.
Joe Flacco was, before Bill Belichick resigned, there was the talk of, do they go get Joe Flacco to be the quarterback of New England, or what have you. But no, I'm not saying he's the answer, but you could win football games with him right away. You've seen what he can do. But again, there's no weapons in Las Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
You would have to have a busy offseason and get
There's
to work.
nothing there. I don't even know who the top quarterbacks are this year. Darnold's a free agent. Maybe he plays his way into something like that. Fields. I mean, this is a dookie free agent class for quarterbacks.
And for Bill Belichick, I think it has to be a
Veteran.
drop him in and go win.
That's what I
not
mean.
Rebuild.
Because I'm not using a premier pick on a rookie quarterback and dropping him into 75-year-old Bill Belichick's system and no offensive mind. And you need to go get a Kirk Cousins. Oh, what if they call about Kirk?
Yeah, I mean,
If the Falcons do miss the playoffs,
they'd certainly want to go to Michael Penix as soon as possible.
Go to Penix.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting because there's a lot of wide receivers I think that would want to play with Kirk Cousins.
Would the Raiders' new draft pick be older or younger than Bill Belichick's girlfriend?
I think
Do you think that's another reason?
Together,
do you think that's another reason why Belichick might go after a veteran quarterback?
Maybe.
Doesn't want the competition of another 20-year-old.
Yeah, that might be it.
You get Kirk Cousins, he's
Flacco
married.
Yep.
Yeah, Flacco, he has kids already.
Yeah, that might have something to do with
When you
it.
bring in Carson Beck,
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
I agree.
This was according to the Kirk Minahan show. Again, over I believe this is over in Las Vegas. But the host of the show says, I won't get specific, but people have told me that Brady's first move is going to be to ask Bill Belichick if he's interested in being coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Wow. And he goes on to say that two sources have told me that. Two high-up sources in the Patriots organization have told me that. Now, again, of course he's going to ask. And the only thing that's linking him to the Raiders' job is Tom Brady. But unless Tom Brady's the quarterback, which he can't be, there's no point if you're Bill Belichick. I think it would be a bad – if Belichick comes out of retirement – and he didn't retire. If Bill Belichick, his next head coaching job in the NFL is the Raiders, that's a bad move.
Especially with what we talk about, we think is going to be open this offseason. We're talking about Philadelphia, Dallas, potentially Cincinnati. I mean, these are teams that are ready to – I mean, Buffalo, McDermott's name has been thrown around on the hot seat. Even if you want to talk about teams that are more ready to compete right now than Oakland and or Vegas, and it might not look like it, but I mean, I'm sure someone believes in Trevor Lawrence. They just extended him for $50 million. Peterson's going to be gone. I think there's a lot of jobs that are in a better spot than the Raiders are right now, and I think Bill Belichick would not come back to a situation where he has to find a quarterback. I think that's why he left New England. I think he would still be in New England if they had a quarterback, or he was okay with drafting and developing Drake May. I don't think that's something he wanted to do. That's why I think Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to keep saying Joe Burrow, are situations that he would want to come coach in. I don't think he's going to go somewhere where he has to build up the quarterback room, but maybe Brady changes that because obviously that's his guy.
Cincinnati's not it just doesn't sound like a Bengal move.
It doesn't at all. I know.
But again, the NFL, it's not about the city, it's about the quarterback.
Right.
It's not about the city, it's about the quarterback. And will Bill Belichick go to Cincinnati? Bill Belichick will go to Joe Burrow. Bill Belichick, I mean, anything you could discredit, I mean, other than the fact that Buffalo is New York and it's whatever, anything you could discredit Cincinnati with as far as the cold and blah, 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 Buffalo's colder. Buffalo's worse. Buffalo has Josh Allen. So Bill Belichick's not going to pick market or city.
One of the best ran franchises in the entire NFL? The Baltimore Ravens. I don't think Baltimore is exactly the
Hot spot.
greatest city for free agents, everyone to live in. They just run a good organization. It comes down to ownership, coaches, and quarterbacks, and that's what people want to come play for. You want to come play for a good owner, you want to come play for a good coach, and you want to go play with a good quarterback or coach a good quarterback or be a GM for a good quarterback, and that's what the good teams are able to lock up first and foremost.
You imagine Cincinnati, Francona, and Bill Belichick in the same. Now, by the way, I'm not saying Bill Belichick's good for Cincinnati.
I don't think he would be.
That's a whole other discussion. Bill Belichick should want Cincinnati / Joe Burrow. If
I
I'm
agree.
Bill Belichick looking for a job, I'd say, all right, I want Josh Allen / Buffalo or Joe Burrow / Cincinnati. And that'd be it. I mean, Jalen Hurts, by the way, at the beginning of the season, I would have said Jalen Hurts / Philadelphia. It's a very good organization. I would trust them more than maybe the other two, but I don't trust Jalen Hurts.
I would take Dak too.
You would take Dak?
I think I could fix Dak in that offense. Like, I think if Jerry had just fired Mike McCarthy right now and gave me a ring and said, hey, Jacob, you want to come down and coach the Cowboys? I think I could get it done. I have a lot of faith in that Cowboys offense. I think Bill would be
Are you
good.
throwing your name?
I am officially
Wow.
I'm officially throwing
Breaking
my name in the
news.
ring for the Dallas Cowboys head coaching job.
I knew you win.
I like that.
When you
we gotta
were
get
just,
that out.
We got to
as
get
soon
that
as
out.
possible.
Kirby, get that on a quote card.
When you were just a host / content creator on Off the Bench, I knew you win.
That's right. No,
There you
yeah.
go.
But I feel like the Cowboys are close. The defense just got so bad with the same players somehow.
Yeah, especially from one year to the next, and they're not even old. It's not even an old
Right.
roster, nonetheless. But yeah, if I'm Bill Belichick, Josh Allen / Bills. Obviously, you look at the Joe Burrow and the Bengals if there's a head coaching vacancy there, but that's not us saying that the Bengals should go after Bill Belichick because I think that's a completely different conversation.
For sure.
As far
Would
as
it be
that
cool?
goes.
Absolutely.
Real quick, last thing here. I don't know if you guys talked about this yesterday, and I think this might have come out after the show. I'm not sure. Titans did honor the request of former Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams for his release. I don't know if you touched on that yesterday.
we did.
Is that an interest for the Bengals on the defensive side of the ball?
Not at all. Not one bit. Nope. I don't want to get more unathletic, old, slow safeties.
Fair enough. Casey, what about you?
What? Sorry.
Jamal Adams, Bengals.
No, don't let him back in. Don't tag him back in. No, you're done. All right, join the chatter. He's not even joining the chatter. Mr. Join the chatter. You're fine. No. We'll step away for a few moments. Casey's not in. We're not tagging him in.
Not tagging him in? No, we're leaving him out?
Sit there and think about what you just did. More Off the Bench when we come back.
Did you do your big announcement yet?
Oh, yeah, you said you had a big announcement.
You said you had a big announcement for the on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, you said,
And
I have a
then-
big announcement tomorrow, and then you weren't here yesterday.
Oh, that was it.
That was
It
it.
wasn't an announcement. It was a surprise.
Okay.
Haha, you guys thought I was quitting, idiots.
I see.
We didn't know.
No,
by
I
the
said
way.
the surprise
We
was...
didn't know you weren't going to be here.
I don't know if you.
No, I did. I said, hey, not on the show to you guys, but during one of the commercials, just like Casey, not listening as usual.
No, I take the blame. But we walked in yesterday. Reed was sitting at the desk. I was like, what's going on? What's up?
I had no idea.
Kenner got traded
I genuinely
to the Buffalo
did not
Bills
know
with Amari Cooper.
until the show started. It was wonderful. It was a good day.
None of us knew.
No, but it
How
wasn't.
did none of us know?
It wasn't an announcement. It was just a surprise.
There you go. The
Because
chat
I know-
is saying that they like the surprise.
I know. I think that's the first time I made them happy.
Well, because all day yesterday they were saying, how is Kinner going to give us the surprise if he's not here?
That was the
I don't
surprise.
think they realized that until now, and they're saying thank you, though. They are saying
You're
thank
welcome. You know, it's almost Christmas. I'm getting in the giving spirit a little early this time of year. Maybe I'll have some more surprises coming up in the near future. Who knows?
you. Breaking news for the Browns.
Ooh, who betrayed?
No one, but corner Denzel Ward is the Week 7 NFLPA Community MVP.
Oh,
What the hell does that mean?
That's good. He's doing good work in the community.
I don't care about that.
He's trying to chip away at the bad mamma jamma around the Browns.
I would rather.
You keep stacking community MVP awards that'll outdo the scales of Deshaun Watson. You get back to even, you start winning some football games.
Not impressed, dude. Not impressed. Win football games. I'd rather found out that.
Win football games
I'd
before
rather-
you donate $150,000 to place 100 defibrillators across the greater Cleveland area.
Oh, Denzel Ward. Look at me. Selfish, dude. He's taking the attention away from his team.
I'm
He's
pretty sure like he had AFib in high school or something, and now he does like this is his thing to help like high school athletes.
That's super. Win his football games.
Jacob, you're always the biggest proponent of I don't care if my athletes are good
That's
people.
true. I am.
You don't care if your
firmly
athletes are good
believe
people,
that.
just be a good football player. That's what Kidder's saying right
I do
there.
firmly believe that. That's true.
I mean, like those stories are great when, man, you win on Sunday and you give back to the community
Denzel Ward good though, right?
when he's out there.
That's true.
I mean, him and Tua are having a little competition.
Yeah, he's got to be due for a concussion soon.
We're making a lot of insensitive jokes today.
Yeah, we
you
are.
know,
No, we are.
Cincy B says, does Kinner have a Deshaun Watson tattoo?
Yeah, here, let me. No, I do not. I refuse to. I won't even get the jersey, which I probably should. That's the one Brown that's probably safe over the next 2.5 years at this point.
Yeah. If you're a Browns fan, you kind of just have to get a Deshaun Watson jersey because you
take.
know for sure he's your starter for the next 2.5 years.
My
a good
birthday's
take, yeah.
coming up here in a few weeks, and
We'll get you one.
my wife asked me, "What do you want, for your birthday?" And she goes, "You want to get a Browns jersey?" I'm like, now's not the time to be buying Browns jersey. I have no clue.
We'll customize you a number 4 jersey. I don't know what it'll say. On
She
the
got
back,
me a
but it
Baker
won't be
jersey a
Watson.
few years ago.
It'll be
It
something
won't be
else.
Watson, but we'll get you a number 4 jersey.
Baker's final season in Cleveland. She got I'm not a big jersey guy, but she got me the Baker Mayfield jersey, so I wore it with pride, and then it's just hanging up in a hanger in our laundry room.
Oh.
It hasn't been worn since. You know what? It's kind of weird to wear a Baker Mayfield jersey.
Yeah, that's tough.
A Browns jersey, that is. Nonetheless,
I have a bad run of jerseys of players that have left the team or not been good. Like every jersey I get, it's just guy leaves.
Yeah, I'm not a jersey guy myself. I only have, in fact, the only jersey I believe I've ever gotten was an Andy Dalton jersey.
That's a good one.
I had an Andy Dalton jersey, and that was it. I'm like, I don't need any more.
if I was
No,
a
I was
Beng-
wrong. I was wrong. I have a Kyrie Irving jersey.
I was
a Cavs Kyrie Irving
I was
jersey.
a perfect jersey that whole era.
I like
Dalton
that.
era. I was always a perfect jersey.
See, he's a prime example of someone that a little crazy. That's my guy. That'd be my guy.
I love him. Oh, I
That-
love
that-
him. I have a
that'd be my
perfect
guy.
jersey behind me on the stream.
You
I
know?
love him.
Logan Wilson, like second in tackles.
Second tackles in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild how many Bengals are actually high up on some of
Oh,
these.
yeah.
Like, that's the question, too, about the Bengals defense that always fascinates me because we talk about how bad it is at times, but every time you go take a deep look at that depth chart, depth is the problem, obviously, but, like, there's a lot. I like a lot of the names on that defense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names on that defense that I'm like, I like the roster construct there from at least a name standpoint, right? That's how Browns fans look at rosters because, on paper, the Browns have a pretty good roster. It just doesn't mesh.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't work because it could
Yeah.
work. Worked last week. It could work this week. Who knows? But is that more of Daniel Jones / Deshaun Watson versus it actually working? But it's kind of wild how many individual solid seasons the Bengals defensive players are having, but not collectively as a unit.
Yeah, and I think for Logan Wilson's case, in the middle, I think it's the lack of pass rush and the decently solid play by the secondary. When they're not getting beat for 75-yard touchdowns, they're doing a decent job, and I think that's just allowing the other quarterbacks to have infinity checkdowns, and Logan Wilson's there to clean up the mess.
So it's a bit of that. I think the inflated numbers in the secondary come from, I always call it Big Ten syndrome.
Yeah.
Inflated defensive stats because you play in the Big Ten and play absolutely zero good quarterbacks this
That is
season
fair.
unless you run into Ohio State. I'm not discrediting that, by the way, because I
fair.
think the expectation for some of those guys like
Yeah.
Cam and them are supposed to be good. But, Jacoby Brissett, obviously, rookie quarterback who was an MVP candidate at this point, Jane Daniels, obviously, Daniel Jones, Deshaun this coming up week. I mean, let the big dogs eat.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about with this stretch because it's not always going to be poor quarterback play on the schedule. I mean, you get into a run of, I guess depending on what you think of Justin Herbert and the Chargers, but you go Lamar, Herbert, probably Russell Wilson at that point, and then Dak right back to back. So
Yeah.
that's 4 competent offenses right there after you get out of the Browns, Eagles, Raiders stretch, and before you get into the end of Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers, which is nice. And so we'll see what happens there, but there's definitely is a stretch there in the middle where you still have to go back to competent offenses, and that's where I'm going to get nervous about this defense. I hope that they continue to do more of what we saw against the Giants this week against the Browns. I'm going to give them a little bit of pass against the Eagles. We'll talk about that game obviously more next week as we lead up to it, but that one is scaring me. Not to overlook the Browns, not to look ahead, but there's just so many weapons on that offense that it worries me how this defense is going to match up with them on the outside. But take care of business about the Browns, and then we can actually start, I think, looking forward like long term. 3-4, we can start talking
That's what I
playoffs
said,
a little bit.
Correct. 3 and 4 changes the dynamic of your season.
If we beat the Browns this week, I think the official narrative is beat the Eagles and.
Yes.
It just turns into beat the Eagles and. Because you said at 4-4, then it's just
Now,
Now we're just playing the game everyone else is playing.
Now I will say, if you're able to beat the Browns, and we keep talking about the Eagles, we're gonna forget about those Raiders. And that's where I bring up trap games.
I'm gonna say something that you're gonna be able to clip, so maybe I shouldn't say it. I think we can forget about the Raiders.
Oh boy.
I think everyone can forget about the Raiders.
Oh boy.
They stink. They're a terrible football team.
I like it. Antonio Pierce, when he was asked about, you guys concerned about not having Devontae Adams moving forward? He goes, we haven't had him for weeks. He goes, next question.
We haven't had him for 3 weeks. Brother, you're 0-2.
Oh boy.
You've scored 16 and 18 points.
Oh boy.
You need him.
Listen, I can't get behind this logic. I tried to do it last year, but it's not going to work this year. I have to take every game week by week, snap by snap. That's what we're doing here.
AOC does not scare me. Clip that. AOC does not scare me.
AOC does
politics.
not scare me.
I like it.
No. There's no politics.
No politics.
Oh.
Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden O'Connell, Raiders starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
November
Cannon.
5th. Get out and vote.
Bad quarterback. Is he the worst quarterback in the NFL?
Is he the worst quarterback that an all-pro wide receiver has come out and publicly say that he loves 24 hours before being traded to the team of his old quarterback?
Yes. Yep.
Probably.
They might just be tight.
Maybe.
Just be
Great
fun.
stash.
Very good.
Great stash.
Very, very, very good. What happened to Jimmy Garoppolo? Make Jimmy Garoppolo great again. I know he's actually
Porn star Jimmy?
He's suspended for steroids, I believe.
Sick, by the way. Good move if you're not even going to play, to just rip steroids in the summer.
My bad.
Just go with this like, I'm going to be backup anyway. Might as well be huge.
I wonder if he knows how they got in there. Or if he's going to go with the old Reds excuse of, I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know how it
lettuce.
got in there. Violating the performance-enhancing drugs policy of the league and NFL Players Association. Tough. Is he a free agent?
Was
or
it like
was he on a
anabolic
team?
steroids, or with Jimmy G, was it more of like a
Rams. He's on the
Hims situation, performance enhancer?
Oh, that's a good.
We know what
question.
Jimmy G gets into.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Maybe Jimmy G is who Bill Belichick wants to go and coach over in Las
You
Vegas.
might be. That's his guy.
I know.
That is his guy.
But that might be the guy you want to stay away from your 22-year-old girlfriend if you're Bill Belichick.
That is also 100% true. Is Jimmy G the scariest NFL quarterback for Bill Belichick in his new job with the 22-year-old girlfriend?
I think Jimmy G could only play for older veteran head coaches.
I think you're right.
Like
I think you're
Harbaugh?
right. I think you're right.
Mike Tomlin.
I mean, he got to Los Angeles for McVay and it didn't work.
I mean, yeah, it's competition. Like
Yeah.
I think so.
You
I mean,
can't
if
be
you look
swimming in
around,
the same pool.
That's right. By the way, Mr. Mo brings up the fact that you did say before the season that the Bengals could start 0-6.
I
and
did
they'd
say
be
that.
fine.
So
They got close.
Oh,
What
I remember those days. Those were the down days of the summer.
what happens?
Little
what
tough days.
happens if they end up being fine?
Okay, then you'd be right. Because they couldn't have started any worse.
They could not have feasibly started worse. I said 0-6. They started 1-4.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
If they make the playoffs, I'm going to take a historic victory lap.
That's fair, and you'd be fair
Historic.
to do so.
And if I'm a bad team, I hire Zack Taylor right away.
Yes.
Zack Taylor is the ultimate, let's get you out of a bad situation.
Yeah,
That's right. That is what scares me about Zack Taylor, and this is another Reed take that just comes out of my mouth that he puts into the group chat. That Zack Taylor is a phenomenal coach for building something. He's worried, and I share the worry with him. He's worried about how he can handle not living up to expectations.
It's not the Dusty Baker effect, right?
Well, I think Dusty's fine. He did it in Houston with massive expectations.
No, but I mean, it reminded me of you got to the point with Dusty in Cincinnati, and I still think it was one of the biggest mistakes the organization made was moving on from Dusty. But at the time, they moved on from Dusty because Dusty could manage. He turned the team around. He got him to the playoffs. But after a couple playoff losses early on, it was just like, all right, we got to get someone in here that could take us to that next
You're
level.
not wrong.
And they've never gotten back to that point. Now, bad rosters the rest of the way, too. It's not like just because, you know.
The comparison that I have for Zack Taylor right now in major professional sports is Brandon Hyde, the manager of the Orioles. He was a great manager, won a manager of the year as they rebuilt that team and draft picks and some supplemental signings and really got that team to a place they've never been before, which is exactly what Taylor's done with Burrow and Chase. And now that they're there, now that they are a top team, a perennial contender, there's serious questions in Baltimore about whether or not Brandon Hyde is the manager for the job. He was certainly the manager to get him there, and they all love him for that. But now that they're there and they're competing, people have questions about whether he can have them take that next step. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with Taylor right now. It's thank you for all you've done. We wouldn't be where we're at right now without you. Are we able to take the next step? And I don't know that the answer is firing him because the grass isn't always greener. But I think that's a fair concern to have. And hopefully in the next few weeks he does. He shows that we are going to take a step and we can, make improvements and halftime adjustments and all this stuff that we are, aren't the happiest with Zack Taylor about over the last few years. But as of right now, that next step would be my biggest concern.
Listen, the grass isn't always greener, but maybe they don't play the best on grass. Maybe you need
That's
to change
true.
the surface.
You need turf.
Maybe they play, maybe it's a little gravel, maybe a little cement, maybe a little AstroTurf. I don't know what
Cement would be something.
Cement, listen,
Cement would be
you
something.
go fast on cement. Nobody looks faster than when I start running on cement.
Prove it.
Nah, I'm good. I can't.
Let's go
That was
outside
a
right
lie.
now.
That was a
Prove
blatant lie. Listen, I'm not saying fire Zack Taylor. I'm not saying it. I'm saying that our expectations when you have a top 3 quarterback are the Super Bowl. Do you believe Zack Taylor is able to get them back at this moment?
I do.
Okay, and that's fair. Casey, at this moment?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Then as of right now, he stays. Until you start having that doubt, he will be here. I think one off-seat – and again, if the offense this year was terrible, like if Joe Burrow wasn't scoring 30 points a game.
It's a very different discussion.
This discussion's over.
Yeah.
Then you have to move on because you can't score 10 points a game or whatever the hell Cleveland's doing and continually say that, Zack Taylor's the guy. Look at this is an offensive mind, and look what he's doing to our offense. The offense is working. Now, I will say, I feel like people give him a pass for the defense. Like a head coach's job is both sides of the ball.
That's true.
Otherwise, you're a coordinator, not a head coach. So I will bring that up, but I'll also say that the defense, the talent on the defensive side of the football this year clearly is not up to par. And I don't know if that's on Zack Taylor or Duke. I don't know who the hell it's on. It's on somebody, but it's not solely on Zack Taylor that these guys on defense legit can't play football.
Here's why you got to be a little more patient with Zack, though, in my opinion, because the strength of Zack has been the stability that he's provided for Cincinnati, especially once you got Burrow and company, of course. But like Inarumo's been around a while. It's not as if Zack Taylor, they move on from Inarumo, the next DC doesn't work. And then the OC's not working. And then this would be the first time that he'd be put in a position where they have to fire a position coach. Am I wrong? Am I missing something there? Like I don't think they've had to fire a position coach to fix a side of the ball. This would be the first time that they would have to make an adjustment. I think that would be a drastic overreaction.
They fire Zimmer?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Zimmer aged, by the way. I saw his close-up of him the other day, and
Oh
I'm
my
like, what happened?
gosh.
I was like, that. You saw that, right?
You know who Zimmer's D-line coach is, or at least the D-line assistant in Dallas? Domata Pecco.
No.
Whole Bengals crew down there in Dallas.
But when they
That
zoomed in on him, I'm
defense
like, oh my
stinks.
gosh.
Yeah,
He aged 10
Zimmer got
years.
fired from the Vikings, not the Bengals.
Gotcha.
Nonetheless. But, see the Browns get that dome approved?
Did they?
They got that.
Very nice.
They got the dome approved.
How did the state funding get split up for that? Did you see?
I did not break that. I did not dive into the article to see how it was broken up. I
just
just
know
know
that
that a lot
was
of
the
people
big,
are broken up. A lot
pushback.
of people are upset about it.
I've seen.
I don't get why people get upset about that stuff.
You will. Oh baby, if the Bengals put in a dome,
What do you mean, put in a dome or relocate?
Why does it matter? Because
I would rather move out of Cincinnati than put in a dome.
Why are you so against the dome?
Not out of Cincinnati. I would with Cincinnati
dome-
Bengals, but I'd rather play in like Butler.
that stadium having a dome fixes the garbage that is the Heritage Bank, whatever. You're able to have concerts. You're able to have Super Bowls, March Madness. You're able to have everything you want if you have a dome.
Oh, it would make me want to die.
Like I don't think it takes away. If I was let me rephrase.
Very
if
dramatic,
I was a
by
fan of
the
the Green Bay
Yes.
Packers, if I was a fan of the Green Bay Packers, no way am I putting a dome on that stadium.
They're the ones that need it.
Huh?
They're the ones that need it.
I know. Well, ironically enough, but I do think that's football. I think you have to have some character in football. That's the character in football. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals putting a dome on Paycor does anything.
I think it absolutely does. I think weather in Cincinnati is a huge deal.
I don't know.
I think football stadiums should be football stadiums first. And when you start doing domes and stuff, they become event centers that happen to house a football team.
Yeah, but you have to realize that the people that are paying, some of them don't watch football, so that they want to be paying for something.
I've never argued that it's not more profitable. I just argue about
Well,
what you should be prioritizing if you want a football team.
I think it's easier to sleep at night when people, again, this is not me, this is other people who don't watch football, who say, why am I paying for this team? They don't even win championships.
Yeah.
And then you look at what other people are doing, like what's happening in Indianapolis. That place is awesome. That place is incredible with their dome. Or the roof. Now they got a retractable roof. Would ours be retractable roof?
Bengals have no plans of putting on a dome.
There's one of the mock-ups I just saw is for putting in a dome. Now, the way they worded it was putting in a dome. I don't know how you put in a. I mean, you could put a dome over that. I mean, we saw
all the proposals that were given, whatever that was, a couple months ago. None of them had a dome on it, at least that I saw.
So my only pushback on that, and again, it's a generic pushback. I don't really care if it's inside or outside. I get the toughness part, like, it's AFC North football. You play outside, but imagine the Bengals are a good example. Like, you're a finesse football team from the standpoint of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the pass game with a complementary run game. And let's say you finally have that season where there's no distractions. You get off to that hot start. You dominate. You take care of business. The division is yours. A couple weeks left in the regular season, and the only problem you have that season is debating, when do we start resting guys? Like that. Like, let's say that season gets here. Everything's going great. Joe Burrow has an MVP season. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. They dominate the AFC North just to get to the postseason, to have one of those storms that hit Buffalo last year, one of those storms that hit Kansas City last year, and you can't even use your quarterback. You can't even use what got you there. At that point, a wasted, it's just a waste of everything. And last year too, by the way, it was a disaster in the NFL.
Yeah.
You had people who literally had to have limbs cut off because in Kansas City it was so dang cold, and you know how after big events like, between Ubers and ways to get out, people's cars broke down, wouldn't start. I mean, it was an absolute nightmare. The NFL didn't care about any of that. Buffalo, you had to go dig your own seat out. They made it sound like it was an opportunity for the fans. Hey, you don't know assigned seating, first come, first serve, but hey, you got to dig your seat out. Like, I thought that was a horrible look for the NFL. I thought it was a horrible look across the board. I'd much rather have a dome to where you don't have to worry about that.
I agree. I'm on Team Dome. I think it's better. I think it's a better look for the city, and I think we can do more with it. I think you could have a Super Bowl here. That would be pretty cool. So, I don't know. I'm in on the dome. Paycor Stadium isn't a cool enough stadium for me to warrant them just let's play outside. It's a bottom tier. It's a bottom tier NFL stadium.
All right.
Doesn't have a ton of character. Am I wrong? I mean, am I wrong? I don't think adding a dome makes Paycor any uglier. I don't think it's a great looking stadium, and I think adding a dome just helps.
This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, ESPN 1410, Wing AM in Dayton. We'll have a little Bengals Browns buy or sell to close out the radio portion. We'll be right back. Yeah, Browns fans aren't mad about the dome. They're mad because Brook Park is basically it'd be like the Cincinnati Bengals locating here to Hamilton.
I would.
It's about 40 minutes away.
Take that over a dome.
The Hamilton Bengals.
Well, it'd still be Cincinnati. You just play in Hamilton, right? They're still gonna be the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
no, but that's what.
If you changed it to the Hamilton Bengals, then I would.
No, I mean like a smart ass, not like the what?
That's right.
The Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Might have some copyright issues there.
Yeah. Had to fight a couple trademark issues.
Yeah.
No big deal. But yeah, the mock-up though for that Browns
looks
stadium.
awesome.
Yeah. 2029. I mean, I saw that. I mean, you might as well put Deshaun Watson's graphic on the top. He'll still be the quarterback.
He'll still be there.
They'll still be paying him by that point. Actually, they won't, and that's a good thing. Before we get to the Browns Bengals buy or sell to close out, little college football discussion here. Travis Hunter was on a podcast, of course, with RG3.
Yeah. Jesus, saw this.
Shador, I'm not a big fan of, and I really want to like Travis Hunter, but it's just one of those things where I felt a certain way after this interview. I don't have the audio or anything to put up there, but he was asked about why he should win the Heisman versus, of course, Gentry, the running back that is just putting up astronomical numbers. We haven't seen. I mean, we've seen running backs have great seasons in college. We haven't seen this, at least in quite a few decades. It's pretty wild what Gentry is doing, and he's doing it efficiently. It's not like it's an over the top. Abundance of carries that's that drastically different from some of the other top running backs in college football. But Travis Hunter's asked about, why he should win the Heisman. I don't have a problem with that question. I don't have a problem with you answering that question, but doing it to discredit the other one, basically just, I didn't like the answer, saying, well, look at that. He got 200 carries or whatever the total is that he's getting. He goes, if I had, or 99 carries or whatever it was. 91 carries. He goes, if I had 90, if they gave me 91 touches, imagine the type of season I would have.
So
you sound silly.
If Travis Hunter had 91 catches, he would be having the best wide receiver of all time.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
So he's not. And Ashton Jeanty is.
Case closed.
Done. Thank you. Thanks for your time. He also said that we've never seen a guy play two sides, and we've seen running backs put up numbers. We've seen a Heisman Trophy winner win it for playing both sides more recently than we've seen a running back put up these numbers.
Yeah.
Charles Woodson won the award for playing both ways. Barry Sanders won it 2 years before that. Like, what Ashton Jeanty's doing is being overlooked by about how improbable and unlikely it is. Travis Hunter's incredible.
Yeah.
And his two-way feet gets as much attention as it deserves, and maybe not even. Maybe it should get more attention. It's incredible what he does. 100 snaps a game. He gets hurt last game. He's supposed to play this week. He's incredible. What Ashton Jeanty's doing is just as incredible. And I know it's only one side of the ball. We have not seen this ever. We being anyone under the age of 40. Like, this is historic. He's incredible. He's going to be a first-round pick, no doubt about it, when we are already talking about running backs not meaning anything in the NFL. And no one's second-guessing taking Ashton Jeanty in the first round because he's incredible. Guy, second in the league in missed tackles. He's number 1 in yards, obviously, by a large margin. He's number 6 if you just do his yards after contact. Ashton Jeanty's been unbelievable. Travis Hunter should be in New York. He should get his recognition. But if this season continues to go as it's been going right now, there's no one that should win the Heisman other than Ashton Jeanty.
I don't understand like the logic either. It's like if I was a millionaire, then I'd never have to work. Like if you play in the hypothetical world, then what are we even doing? It's about the Heisman. You're a great player, Travis Hunter, but you're not as good as him at this very moment. And that's just based on what's happened this season. He's putting up one of the best seasons a running back's ever had. Is he on pace to break the record?
He is. It's very close.
So, I mean, it's like, yeah, if you had 5 million catches, sure, you'd be the greatest player to ever play. But, what are we doing? You don't have that, and you're not going to have that. Instead, the guy who actually is doing it is going to win the Heisman, and he should win the Heisman, and there shouldn't be a debate on it.
Ashton Jeanty's Heisman moment game, if you will, obviously 200 yards, nearly 200 yards against Oregon earlier this year, kind of when he broke out to the rest of the country. People got their eyes on him first. But the next and maybe last marquee game for Jeanty this year, a week from today, on the 25th of October at 10:30 p.m., Boise State plays UNLV. Both teams 5-1, both teams in the top 5 in odds right now to be the Group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. So that is going to be an incredible game, a standalone game at 10:30 p.m. on a Friday night. Jeanty's going to have a chance to go off for a national audience and really show everyone what he's about. So I think that's going to be a big-time game for those Heisman chances when we talk about what he's able to do.
Yeah, something else that he said, too, that drove me nuts was, Travis Hunter on why people hate Coach Prime in Colorado. He goes on to say, well, we have too many eyes on us. He says they hate how we came in, and then we didn't live up to the standard last year. They see what we are doing this year, just jealousy that they have in their heart about us. The couple questions I have. He says, we have way too many eyes on us. I agree. They hate how we came in. How did you come in? What do you mean, how'd you come in? And then we didn't live up to the standard last year. What standard? There's no standard at Colorado. There's no standard of Deion Sanders coaching at the Division I level. There was no standard. You didn't live up or not live up to a standard. You did a lot of talking. I just don't like the poor us routine that's being done in Colorado because you started a lot of it. I want to give credit here. I'm not a big Jamar Chase guy because his personality drives me nuts, but I will admit I'm a hypocrite because if he was a Cleveland Browns wide receiver, I would love him to death.
That's fair.
To his credit, he addressed the media yesterday. I thought this was actually really cool of him, and and I kind of like when players talk a lot and they kind of, a little bit. But the self-awareness of Jamar Chase to say, hey, they're not winning enough football games right now for him to be he doesn't want to be the villain on social media. Yeah. Last year he called them the Elves. Remember the Browns? And look, they got embarrassed. There was a lot of times last year where when Jamar Chase would talk smack, it blew up in their face. It blew up against the Chiefs. It blew up. It obviously blows up against the Browns. It blows up against a lot of teams in Jamar Chase's face. I appreciate the fact that right now at 2-4, and he's arguably the best receiver in football right now, this is the time you would think he would be even more loud in letting people know about it. I question some of the leadership decisions he's made. I think that's one of the biggest ones he's made, Jamar Chase. I want to make sure I'm being fair with how I analyze him because he drives me nuts in a lot of things. I thought that was a very cool leadership thing. But what he doesn't do is, I think what he learned is, I can't talk all that smack and then sit there and say, well, why is everyone picking on me?
Right.
So he's being quiet. He wants his play to go do the talking against Cleveland, and then he'll talk smack afterwards, or he'll talk smack on the field to the guys or whatever. This is what Colorado and Deion and these players need to understand. People don't dislike. People want to root for you. They wanted to root for Colorado. You talked about this the other day, the underdog story. There was no bigger underdog than Colorado when you revamp an entire roster. Deion, as charismatic as he is, But you can't be charismatic and unlikable because of the way you talk to people and because of the way you tell everyone that doubts you that they're just haters, this, that, the other. This is why people root against Colorado. And I have never once felt like I was rooting against Travis Hunter, but I feel a certain way about him now. I'm kind of not a big fan of his for a brief moment, but nonetheless, I just didn't like that interview. I don't think that he did a good job with the RG3 podcast.
I'm going to choose. I 100% agree. I think it was a bad podcast interview with bad sound
I haven't seen an
bites.
interview that bad since Kamala. I'm just going to be honest. It was that bad.
Last
Come on.
Last time I saw a college player interview that bad, it was Shadur trashing his O-line earlier this
Yeah.
year. So, I mean, it seems to be a system over there. And like you said, with Jamar Chase, Zack Taylor going up to him and saying, hey, maybe don't talk like that when we're losing. Maybe Deion should do a similar thing. I mean, I know they're having a much better year this year than they did last year, but still not, ranked, still not, at the top of the Big 12. So maybe reel your boys in while you're still not, at the top of the sport. But I love Travis Hunter. I'm going to continue to be a Travis Hunter fan. It's the same reason I'm a LeBron fan. It's the same reason I'm a Shohei fan. It's the same reason I'm going to be a Victor Wembanyama fan. It's because when there's a player that has generational talent and I get to be alive and watch them at the same time, I'm going to choose to root for that player. I'm going to choose to enjoy that instead of trying to be a detractor the whole time. And I think that's where I'm going to try to lie with Travis Hunter the whole time. And if he ends on a team that I despise in the NFL, then maybe we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as of now, I'm gonna remain a Travis Hunter fan. Certainly not great clips, but a college kid. We'll let it slide.
There you go. This is Off the Bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. We only have a few moments left of the show. Rapid fire, little buy or sell to close it out. Browns-Bengals edition. Right off the bat, Nick Chubb back for the Cleveland Browns. While everyone talks about the strength of the Bengals being the offense, we know that if they're vulnerable to lose against Cleveland on Sunday, it's going to be because if the defense reverts back to what we've seen the Bengals defense do in the past. Nick Chubb is back. Nick Chubb has dominated the Bengals. He dominates a lot of teams. He's one of the best backs in the NFL. Coming off of a freakishly bad injury. It's his first game back. Buy or sell Nick Chubb scoring a touchdown in his return game against the Bengals on Sunday.
I'm going to sell it because I don't think the Browns will score a touchdown in this game. But I do think Nick Chubb has a solid – he's going to be the only reason the Browns have a fighting chance. I think I bet he has over 900 yards in 10 career games against the Bengals. He's going to have at least 50 yards in this game. But he will not score a touchdown. The Browns will not score a touchdown.
I'm also going to sell it for the same exact reason. I'm not entirely confident that the Browns score an offensive touchdown, so I don't want to necessarily bet on one player. But the buy or sell for Nick Chubb that I want for you is buy or sell over 15 carries.
I'm going to say under. I think it's going to be that 10 to 12
Under.
range. Now, but if he's cooking, I think what they're going to use Nick Chubb in is in a lot of third and short situations. The Browns, keep in mind, the Browns, I think I saw a stat the other day that the Browns are top 5 with the most third and short situations in football, and they're also bottom 5 in converting on third and short. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference that Nick Chubb makes for this Browns team. The Browns are very bad on third down. They're very bad on third and short.
They're the worst in third down.
But from third and short, they again, they're bad in third down across the board. But in those third and short situations, I think that's where Nick Chubb's going to be the biggest difference maker to be able to extend drives. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest difference makers as far as being able to keep that offense out on the field, keep that defense off the field just a tad longer, keep them more refreshed. I think Nick Chubb's return is actually way bigger than even I was willing to give it credit for just because of those little things. When you're this bad offensively, sometimes it's just that little thing. Extend. If they get 2 more additional drives or 2 more additional, moving to the chains just because he's able to convert on third and short, I think that's a big deal. So I think it's going to be 10 to 12 carries, and that's not a lot.
Right.
Man, maybe it should be about 15. Either way.
Well, I'm just worried about what are you doing with him? Are you really running him out there to give him the ball 20 times?
There's no way he runs it.
He's been cleared He's actually been cleared for the last 2 weeks.
But I'm less talking about the physical aspect and more he had a reconstructive knee surgery. You're going to run him against an NFL defense 20 times. At some point, it's going to get in his head, and he's going to try to protect his leg or something. Then you're asking for another injury. I just feel like easing a guy back into it in a season where you're already 1-5 is.
Well, you said defense. Luckily, they're not playing a defense.
That
this
is
weekend.
true. That's true.
So yeah, no. Again, Bengals. One of the worst. Defensively, statistically, we don't need to get into it. We know how bad the Bengals have been defensively. They are healthy though. Sheldon Rankins, good to go. I'm assuming, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, again. Bengals are they're as equipped as they
Incredible
can be.
injury report for the Bengals this week.
I saw it. The Browns was like super
Incredible.
long,
Oh,
and the
4
yeah.
times as long.
I
Yeah.
hope Joe Burrow's shin's okay. I saw,
Yeah,
I saw his
yeah,
little
added the
You know,
shin
he-
too there.
He hurt his shin. I hope he's okay.
Originally, when the NFL announced that they were changing the rule for the injury reports, that if you got any treatment, you had to be on there, I thought that was a good rule. I was like, oh, that's nice. How many times have we seen, T. Higgins limited in practice all week, then doesn't play, and it screws fantasy owners and gamblers and all that stuff. I think I hate it.
I don't like it.
I don't know when players are hurt or not. You're limited in practice, and you go get an ice pack on your knee, and you're on the injury report. It's like
I think that's bad.
Yeah.
I have no idea anymore.
I iced my finger because I hit it on someone's helmet during walkthroughs or something
Every
like that.
single Wednesday, I open the fantasy app, and it's just cues all the way down. Everyone's questionable because they're on the injury report. It's like, what are we doing? There's got to be a middle ground.
Yeah, I agree. Do they do that for gambling purposes?
I believe it was gambling and fantasy.
Okay.
Zack Taylor's T. Higgins ordeal was part of why.
Really?
Yeah.
Bengals have not, I think one time since 2019, I heard this on Tom's show the other day with Casey, the Bengals have not scored more than 19 points, or they've only scored 19 or more points one time since 2019. Buy or sell the Bengals against the Browns defense, scoring more than 19 points against the Browns.
I'm going to buy it. I think the Browns will cap out at 19 points because they don't score 20. So the Bengals have to get over it to assure a win. So I'm going to buy it. I'm going to over 19. I think this offense is really good. And I do think the Browns defense isn't the same Browns defense that we've seen over the last few years. I mean, it's just a lot of similar names out there, but not playing at nearly as high of a level as we've seen before. So I think this Bengals offense is going to step it up. We saw their little lull game, if you will, last week against the Giants.
Yeah. I'm going to buy it. But I don't think they score like 40. I think they score.
agree.
I think it'll be right around that number.
21-28.
Yeah.
Look, I think that last week we saw the Bengals offense struggle against the Giants defense, and I think the Browns defense is better. And I think the Browns defense actually played lights out against Philadelphia. I thought that was actually the best game that they've played all season against Philadelphia. And if it wasn't for Amari Cooper, that Buffalo Bills bum, all right, that pass interference that would have led to a touchdown, most likely, probably not, but most likely, the Browns have a chance to tie that game up and maybe break our hearts in overtime later. But the bottom line is I thought the defense played their best game against a similarly built team in the Eagles. Very good quarterback with very good wide receivers. I know Jalen Hurts isn't playing very good, but he made some good throws in there. That throw that basically iced it late up the sideline, it was defended well. It was just a perfectly placed ball. Joe Burrow's capable of doing that as well. I think that the Bengals offense, I think the same game from last Sunday is going to be played on Sunday. It was the ugly win that the Bengals had. I think the Bengals, if they win, it's going to be ugly as well. I'm going to sell. I think it's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game between both because I think the Browns defense has a lot of the same strengths that the Giants do, and I think that they're better than the Giants defensively. My concern is, I don't know the last time the Bengals played back-to-back bad games offensively.
Right.
That would be my concern as far as that goes. And then last but not least, on the way out, buy or sell. Joe Burrow has never won in Cleveland. Never won in Cleveland. Buy or sell. Joe Burrow and the Bengals winning in Cleveland on Sunday.
Well, if we bought the other one, we're going to buy this one. So it's a unanimous buy.
That's right.
From this room. And he has to do it. They legitimately have no choice but to win. I said it against the Giants. I'm going to say it against the Raiders next week, and I'm going to continue to say it until they've clinched a playoff spot. So Joe Burrow will get this win because there's no other choice.
That's right.
I guarantee the Browns win on Sunday. Guarantee.
What's the punishment?
What's the punishment?
What's the punishment?
If your
That's
guarantee's
for you guys.
not.
That's for you guys to decide. I'm just telling you right now, 100%. I'm going to talk so much blank on Monday when I come in. I'm going to be feeling myself. I'm going to be feeling great. I don't care what happens the rest of the season. But every season we do this. We get to this point where the Cincinnati Bengals, we're confident. It's Cleveland. We're better than Cleveland. We got Joe Burrow. All right? Joe Burrow. All right? We got Joe Burrow. We're fine. We're good. You ain't going to be good on Sunday. You're not going to be good on Sunday. You're going to be 2-5 after Sunday. The Cleveland Browns probably won't make the playoffs. They probably won't win many games moving forward, but they're going to win this one. You got Nick Chubb back. All right, already the vibes in Cleveland have been through the roof this week. They're going to be playing for Nick Chubb-inspired football. A lot of times when you move on from a player like the Browns did with Amari Cooper, other guys step up. They play that inspired football. I think that right now all the pressure is on Deshaun Watson. All the pressure is on this Browns team. Their entire season comes down to this one game. That's it. The Browns season is done if they lose on Sunday, and I promise you they're not going to lose on Sunday. Deshaun Watson will throw for a touchdown. Nick Chubb will score a touchdown. Joe Burrow will throw an interception. No. There will be some turnovers on the Bengals side. Myles Garrett is going to eat. He's going to eat. He's going to dominate. I still love that. I mean, he loves Joe Burrow as much as you guys do. I think Myles Garrett has hugged Joe Burrow more than Joe Burrow's mom has. That's how dominant the defense has been against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and I cannot wait. I've been very nice about the Bengals' struggles to start. I will not be nice on Monday. You guys have buried me all week. You guys have stuck it to me all week. You guys have made fun of my team all week, and I've sat back and I've said, okay, it's fair. They deserve it. But you guys are going to deserve everything I say on Monday. You're going to deserve every joke, every mean thing I say about Frosty Tip Burrow. All right, everything I say about him and the entire Bengals team. You've said it. Deshaun's embarrassing. The Browns are embarrassing. They're bad. They have no chance. Well, then when they win on Sunday, it's going to be a big-time tough pill to swallow. I can't wait for Chatterbox Bengals. I think it's the only time a Browns fan has ever been invited / banned after for an appearance. I can't wait. But I guarantee the Cleveland Browns win on Sunday.
I guarantee they don't.
Sucks.
So yeah,
that sucks. I'll take the Bengals.
Yeah.
I'll take a -5.5.
I'm gonna nuclear missile whale play Bengals first half money line because I'm not gonna be able to put up with this if they're losing at halftime. I am unloading Bengals first half money line.
Hey, loser brings in breakfast Monday.
All right. Last time I did, y'all jerks didn't eat it.
No.
Is that true?
Yeah. I don't think you were here. Ow, this hurts like a mother. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
And Casey. I think
Kinner's
Kinner's up next for the next 6 hours on the station.
Listen to Kinner for the next 6 hours. ESPN 1410.
We're done, right?
Oh, we're done?
Oh, now we're back.
Mr. Mo with the super chat.
The Giants are better than the Browns in every defensive metric except passing D by 1 yard.
Kinner just makes stuff in his head to make him feel better.
That
fell apart at the end.
Man,
well,
yeah.
you missed Mr. Mo spelled it.
Mr. Mo spelling fell apart at the end.
So Mr. Mo will take the Giants defense over the Browns.
Yeah, I think I would too. Pass rush for sure.
Man. Maybe Joe Burrow will get hurt on Sunday. Maybe Myles
Oh,
Garrett.
no.
Maybe Myles Garrett.
Maybe Myles Garrett.
This is atrocious.
Maybe Myles Garrett will, hit him a little too hard. Frosty Tip
What are
Burrow
we
goes down.
doing?
Maybe. You never know. It could happen. I'm just throwing out possibilities of things that
We're
can happen.
rooting for injuries now?
I'm not rooting for injuries. I'm just saying we're talking about possibilities. We're talking about possibilities. Things can happen.
It's possible God strikes lightning on the Cleveland Browns.
It'd be a real shame if Nick Chubbed again.
I mean, Nick Chubb could get hurt. Nick Chubb's coming off an injury. You talked about it earlier. You talked about Nick Chubb a little bit ago, saying, "Hey, he's facing the defense. You don't know. We can get hurt again. Maybe were you rooting for injuries? You rooting it for
Whenever a player comes back from injury, a lower body injury in the first game, if they protect their leg, they're putting themselves at bigger risk for injury, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
I think everyone's been fine that's come back from an injury. He'll be just fine.
Everyone that's come back from a reconstructive knee surgery has been fine.
Nick Chubb, 100%.
I don't think so. He had a second one.
And he's already proven he can. He's already proven he can. See, I've got you rattled. Look, hold on. I win. This is all because of him from earlier in the week. He got me rattled. It was my goal to rattle Elliot. And look.
You think Elliot's rattled?
I think so. The cheeks are getting a little red.
I just hope everybody keeps their family members at least 50 feet away from Deshaun Watson. That's all I hope.
That's true.
Ooh, let's go with the sexual assault jokes. That's right. Keep them coming.
That wasn't a joke. I'm serious. I don't want anybody near him. I fear for their safety. That's a fact. That's not a joke.
I'm glad that you're worried about people's safety. That's good.
That's right.
That is good. That is good.
Somebody has to.
Can't wait for Monday. But I promise you, Browns are winning. There's not even a little doubt in my head. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think it's so cool that you get Nick Chubb back the week leading in to the Bengals game.
It is cool. Yeah, that is cool.
It's cool.
Bengals win this game. Mm-hmm. They have to. They have to.
So breakfast on Monday.
They're not allowed. And by the way, breakfast is donuts.
Who's getting the donuts?
You, because
you're the only Browns fan.
You're the only Browns fan.
So if the Browns win, I have to get donuts? Why am I?
No. If the Bengals are winning, you're missing that part of it.
If the Bengals win, when the Bengals win, you bring donuts.
Okay.
If the Browns win, I bring donuts.
That's fair, but I thought you weren't showing up on Monday.
I'll make this deal. If the Browns win, we'll all bring donuts.
We'll all bring donuts.
All three of us will bring donuts. And they'll just go to
what,
waste.
what does that accomplish? I'll be celebrating.
Yeah, no, you can just sit. Actually, we'll do the show.
And then you
eat 3 dozen donuts if the Browns win.
We'll just pan to you eating donuts.
If the Browns lose, he has to eat 3 dozen donuts during the show.
That's what it is.
Who just did that? That Ohio's
Ohio
dude
State
or whatever.
He has
with
to
the
eat a peep for. Do we just steal all the bits? And he has to eat a peep for every point.
We should do that actually. Every single peep.
A peep for every
Peeps
point.
are gross, by the way.
Disgusting.
I don't-
Disgusting.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the peeps.
Yeah,
not
no
a fan
shot.
of the peeps. But yeah,
All right, friends.
that's where we're at. But Casey, you okay today?
Yeah, I'm good.
I think you're a little worried. You nervous?
No.
I think you're nervous, dude.
No,
I
I'm
could
not
feel nervous
nervous
energy.
whatsoever.
In fact, I don't think I've ever experienced the nervous energy that's coming off of you before. It's pretty wild.
He didn't even join the chatter today.
Yeah.
Didn't
let
join
his
the
shirt-
chatter
I'll let my
once.
shirt do the talking, he says.
Yeah,
Fetter
basically.
says Browns lose. Kinner has to shave his back live on air.
And then
No, thanks.
RM says something better than donuts. Do you want to do the thing where Colton Melman $5 super chat? Kinner claims Watson's off the field and poor leadership doesn't affect this team, yet thinks the Browns team will be passionate about Chubb.
Oh.
go follow everything that surrounded the Browns this week. Everyone's super jacked about Nick
So
Chubb coming
vibes
back.
matter.
I also do not think, why would with Deshaun Watson, with all the stuff he was accused of 3 years ago, why is 2024 the year that everyone the Browns?
That's the best point you've made.
It just
about
got brought
Browns,
back up. It just got brought.
You
it
want to
just
know?
got brought back up?
You want to know why people are pissed off at Deshaun Watson? Because he has sucked at football. It's really what it comes
I
down
don't
to.
think it's
There was
just the
another
football.
allegation this year.
I don't think people just hate Deshaun Watson because of the football.
So what? 29, 28's okay. But 29 now,
No, none
now
of
we
them-
have a
no,
broken
none of
locker
them-
room.
none of them are okay.
But like you're saying,
But
there
you're
was another
asking
one
why
this
people
year.
brought it back up because another one came up and
Another
it was
one-
terrible. I don't know if you read the report, but it's terrible.
as opposed to all the other great ones.
I'm just saying that's why you asked why was it brought up this year. This year had another one.
No, but again, you're saying that that gets brought up and now the locker room has crumbled. The 28 didn't it crumble the locker room? 29 is where we draw the line.
I'll go
right?
out on a limb and say the locker room hasn't been great since Deshaun got there.
They look.
That's not true. That's not
It's
true.
been the best with every backup quarterback
every
they've
single
had.
player.
The better-
That's
Every
not true.
single backup quarterback that comes in, the team looks better.
significantly.
I think that's a
better.
locker room ordeal.
And,
Joe-
no, I think that's a talent ordeal. Deshaun Watson has
I
not been
don't-
good
I don't
in
think it's
Cleveland.
Joe Flacco is
There-
not the
you
greatest
can't go-
quarterback in the NFL.
The players that matter, every team captain on there had nothing but nice things to say about Deshaun Watson throughout his
What do
entire
you
time
want
in
him to
Cleveland
say?
up until this
Because
season.
they're paid.
What do you want him to say?
I mean, go look at the teams that don't have good quarterbacks. They're not speaking as glowingly about Deshaun Watson. You guys want
Are
that
any
to
of
be
those
true so
quarterbacks
bad.
getting paid $50 million fully guaranteed?
That doesn't
No.
impact anyone on Cleveland.
Oh, I absolutely think it does.
It does not. They have more guys making $10 million or more than any other roster in football. Who hasn't got paid in Cleveland that wanted to get paid?
I think when you have a $50 million quarterback who's a bad person and a bad player, it affects the vibes in the locker room, which affects the play on the field.
Those vibes were fine. When he was out there, they were winning games last year.
As soon as he got out,
when he was
became a
out there the year
playoff team.
before, they were winning games. He has a record
soon as
above
they pulled him
500
last year, they
coming
became
into
a
the
playoff
season.
team.
What?
As soon as they pulled him last year, they became a playoff team.
They were a playoff team when he was out there.
You
In
said
fact,
they became a
when he
contender.
was
You
out
said
there,
at the beginning of the show they became a contender when they put Flacco in.
their offense looked like a real offense when he got out there. Yes,
So it was much better with the backup.
it was much better because of how good Joe Flacco was playing
You don't think
football.
vibes had
this
anything
is
to
about
do
how
with
bad
that?
Deshaun has been.
But no,
playing
you don't
at
think vibes had
quarterback.
anything to do with that.
I mean, everyone.
Strictly on-field play. You don't think the guys like playing for Joe Flacco a little bit more than Deshaun Watson? No,
They
you don't
played
think so.
better. I think they like the offensive flow better, but I don't think it's because you guys are bringing up his off the field
I
stuff
think
as if
that
killed the
matters.
energy. I don't, because if Deshaun Watson was playing great football, they don't care about all the other stuff. Just like the fans don't care about all that stuff.
I agree, but when you're playing bad football, it compounds.
Oh, then those people, then they're all pieces of garbage for all of a sudden only caring about his bad personality decisions or his bad personal decisions. Hey, you could make bad decisions, play good football.
Sports fans are a little sick and twisted when it comes to winning games.
I
If you
just-
have a
I
bad guy that wins games, you'll overlook it. If you have a bad guy that's a bad player, you focus on the bad stuff. I don't think that's breaking news.
So then the only thing that obviously broke the locker room this year was Deshaun just not playing good football. It's
I
as
don't
simple as
think it
that.
helps. I don't think.
No,
it
I think
helps.
that's what it is 100%. If he's playing good football, none of the other stuff matters.
I think you would overlook the other stuff if he's playing good
It's not, I
football.
think we know. Because when they were 5-1 with him last year, and they weren't playing bad. By the way, when Deshaun Watson was out there, they were averaging 28 points a game last
Yeah.
year when he was out there.
Yeah.
So what?
They were not a playoff team until Joe Flacco took over.
That's not true. They were.
You said at the beginning of the show they became a contender when Flacco took
a
over.
Super Bowl contender when Joe Flacco took
So
over.
they weren't a contender before.
No, I didn't think the offense was flowing smooth enough for me to put him in that category.
Okay, yeah. So they got better with Flacco.
We're talking about on-field stuff. You're talking about locker room mojo.
And they were better on the field
There
because
was
of the locker room
problems.
mojo.
There was no locker room problems in Cleveland.
I don't agree. I
You
disagree.
don't know. Like
Neither do you, though.
I do. I follow the team.
Well,
There
you
was
hear
no
what the
locker
players
room.
say to the media.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And just like
You think
but-
they're gonna-
but you guys nut your pants every
You
single
think they're
time
gonna
Joe
poo-poo
Burrow
the
says we
$50
gotta
million
play better.
fully guaranteed
Oh,
quarterback?
we just didn't make enough plays today. Man, Joe Burrow said that. Joe Burrow said we didn't make enough plays today. He has to be right. It's Joe Burrow. You
I
guys
love this.
drool
I love this rivalry.
over everything. You drool over everything that your
I love
players
it.
say.
Absolutely.
But when
Look
I
at
use
this
what
nonsense.
my players say, you discredit it.
And you discredit when we drool
they're
over
just
our
gonna
players.
keep
I
going.
don't discredit it. I laugh at you because you guys drool over the dumbest things.
And now I'm laughing at you using your players' voices to back up your argument. It's the same thing.
No, because my
Time's a
players.
flat circle.
No. First him, now you.
Double-sided game.
First him, now you. God, it doesn't matter because as shitty as the
If you
Browns
don't
have
think
been,
30 sexual assault allegations affects an NFL locker room, I don't know what to say.
only when you lose,
Yes.
then it's the losing that's the problem.
The losing exacerbates other issues.
No, the losing, that's it. That's the only problem. Losing in Cleveland's the
disagree.
problem. That's it. Nothing else mattered in that locker room. Everyone was happy. Amari Cooper was happy. Everyone was happy in that locker room until the
Nobody
losing
likes
started.
dealing with the noise.
Right.
Why do you think a certain MLB pitcher hasn't returned to the league and he's still having all the records set, that every record that could be set in Mexico?
Maybe because he had so many nice things to say about Rob Manfred.
I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I don't think any franchise wants to deal with the noise. And
I
that's
think
what
every
it is.
franchise wants to deal with winning, and that's why franchises would take a chance. I don't think anyone thinks that.
I think
he's
correct.
Good
I think they would have taken that chance. I think what's happened in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson is why nobody will take that chance again.
I think, yeah, it's probably a fair take.
But if Deshaun Watson played good, they would.
Correct.
Because it's strictly about football. It's strictly about
Correct.
football.
Once you're playing poorly, you start to look at the other stuff, is what I'm saying.
So then that stuff truly doesn't matter.
Not if you're winning games.
It truly doesn't matter.
Fans
if
don't
Joe
care if
Burrow
you
went
win
on a
games.
stretch that Deshaun Watson has, just could not play football, you guys would turn on him too. And he's a saint.
I probably wouldn't turn on him. I'd probably find spin zones and advanced metrics that tell you he's still doing good.
Match every single metric to Deshaun's.
Well, that would be tough. But I think I'd find a way. I think I'd find a way to spin zone Burrow out of it. I believe in my ability to spin zone my players that I like into a good lens.
Fair enough. Fair enough. To be clear, as much as we're arguing here, Deshaun Watson, garbage person. That we can all agree. And
Good,
at the end
good
of the
qualifier.
day, but that garbage person go whoop some ass on Sunday
We'll
against the
see.
Cincinnati Bengals
We'll
defense. I'm
see.
just saying, you guys were concerned about Daniel Jones heading into last week's game.
I was not.
I was.
I was not.
I wasn't concerned after Malik Neighbors got hurt. It's more of a Malik Neighbors concern.
He's back this week.
Yeah, number 1 fantasy projected wide receiver. Coming off an injury as a rookie. Crazy.
How does New York keep getting these really good wide receivers with no elite quarterbacks to throw them the
I
football?
know.
By the way, is Eli Manning, do you consider elite?
I feel like if it was
2
just
Super Bowls, so yeah,
2 Super Bowls, you have to give it to
Yeah.
him. You have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I do.
With if it was 1 Super Bowl, I don't give him the benefit of the doubt.
I see people say he's not a Hall of Famer because he's barely above 500 or at 500 or a game below 500 or something like that in his career. He won 2 Super Bowls. He's a Hall of Famer, right?
It has to be.
Right.
Ravens, Joe Flacco, Giants, Eli Manning. You have to pick one of those two to lead your team. Who you picking?
I think Flacco's more talented,
Giants,
but Eli has 2.
Giants, Eli Manning.
Flacco's window is shorter too. Eli was good for a little bit there.
Did Eli ever win an MVP?
No.
How
No?
is Joe Flacco this good now? Have we ever seen a quarterback do this?
I don't think so.
I don't think he's good. I think he's able to air the ball out.
Yeah.
And I think
I don't know how good he is. He's
mean-
able to win some games with fringe playoff teams. Like I don't think he's a. If Joe Flacco's your quarterback, you have 0 chance of winning a Super Bowl. But like I think you could get into the
He's won a
playoffs.
Super Bowl. And his numbers
If 39-year-old Joe Flacco's your quarterback, you have 0 chance of winning a
but
Super
I
Bowl.
think he's statistically better now than when he was at the peak with the Ravens.
No, I disagree. But like I don't think the Browns had a chance of winning a Super Bowl last year. I don't think the Colts have a chance of winning a Super Bowl this year. But like I think the Colts have a good chance of making the playoffs. I think that's about the ceiling of Flacco right now. But he's fun to watch. And that's exciting.
Can't wait for Monday.
I can't wait for Monday as well.
It's 12:02. We were supposed to be done at quarter till. We're done. Until next week. This has been Off the Bench. When's Chatterbox Bengals? Give that one more final plug.
Sunday. Kickoff to final whistle. Chatterbox Bengals. Come join us. Kinner will be in at halftime.
Maybe.
Maybe. No. You agreed. No matter what, halftime. Because if you leave the door open to back out, then I get to back out too. Do you want to leave that door open?
Back out of what?
Of this halftime? Because if the Browns are up, I'm not having you on. Unless we lock it in now.
We're locking it in.
Okay, lock it in now. No matter what, Kinder will be on at halftime to talk about it. Chatterbox Bengals, 1 p.m.
There we
on
go.
Sunday. Check it out.
Until next Monday, this has been Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Thank you, everybody.